I asked you to share all your favorite Pokemon with me, and oh man, did you ever. I ended up getting over 1,000 submissions using the Cajun Avengers Pokemon Picker website. So many submissions, in fact, that this ended up turning into an optical recognition coding project once I realized that trying to catalog all those screenshots by hand was just not gonna happen. Gotta use that computer science degree for something in my job, right? And now that we have data and we're gonna look at it. What was the single most popular pick for every single category of Pokemon? How about the least popular? Which one of these guys got the least love? What about ZA's new Megas? Which one of you were the most basic and the biggest hipster? We're looking at all of that and more today, and while we're at it, I'm gonna fill mine out as we go along too, because it looks like fun, and hey, if I'm gonna be judging all of you, fair is fair. I originally intended this to be a dinky little second channel video. As you can see by the timeline, that did not end up happening. We are officially neck deep in Pokemon territory. Let's dive in. This video is sponsored by Into the AM. I was wearing Into the AM's clothes for literal years before I started working with them. They just sent me the one I'm wearing right now, but you can go back through my channels and spot them all over the place. Into the AM make comfortable, high quality clothes that look amazing, and they're running their biggest sale of the year as I speak. From now until December 7th, you can take advantage of their Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales to get up to 60% off your order. And by using my link below and entering code MockRock, you can discount that even more, and at that point, it's honestly getting ridiculous. Listen, this is an advertisement and, you know, treat it as one, but in all honesty, for the record, the reason I'm working with Into the AM today is because I originally saw other YouTubers advertising them and they won me over. I wore their shirts for ages, I genuinely loved them, and then later on, I reached out to Into the AM, which to this day is still the only time I've ever done that with a brand. Usually they come to me. I wholeheartedly recommend them, and I hope you'll check them out. I know tons of you already know what this website is, but if you don't, it's got a bunch of categories and you can pick your favorite Pokemon for each one. Now, obviously there's gonna be some overlap here. Charizard could be your favorite Gen 1 Fire or your favorite Gen 1 Flying. Should you be allowed to choose it for both types, or do you have to commit to just one? Now, personally, I'm gonna commit, but I also didn't ask my audience to do any one particular thing. Starting right off with Gen 1 Normal. Now, some of these I've seen when I was setting things up, some of them I haven't. The ones I haven't, I'll try and guess along. Feel free to do the same. Hell, keep score if you got the stamina for it. This time around, it has to be Eevee, right? Oh, okay, it's Snorlax, who actually won it over Eevee by 3 votes. Snorlax is obviously an incredibly iconic Pokemon. He's the face of his own game. He was a competitive staple back in the day. I get it. Now, as for me, I'm going with Porygon, who was a distant third at 12% of the vote. Considering what a new formula Pokemon was at the start, I wouldn't necessarily expect to see a ton of gimmick Pokemon right away, but they were there and they were good. 4th place was Ditto, for the record, another iconic gimmick Pokemon, and rounding up the top 5, we have Dodrio. I don't really know about that one, just funny, I guess. For last place, we had exactly one Pokemon that got no votes. Pidgey. Now, from this point, just to keep the video moving, I'm probably only going to read out the top 3 and then the last slot. Some people have already asked me about being able to see all the numbers, so as a compromise, I'll flash them on screen at the end of every section. I know a ton of you have this on in the background while you're doing something else, so if that is one of you, listen for the... Now, the Gen 2 normal slot, I'm feeling totally out of the loop on. It's Furret, with a full quarter of the votes. Now, full disclosure, I've never played any Gen 2 games. I came into the series in Gen 3 and then went and played Fire Red later, so I've got my Gen 1 introduction. If Furret plays some kind of major role in those games, let me know, because I really don't get this one. Transcendi Calamity says it has the best shiny form. Is that true? Pink's not my color, but that's pretty good. Porygon 2 was in 2nd place at 20%. That one makes sense to me. That is 100% my choice too. And from there, it's a sharp drop down to Ursaring for 3rd, just barely beating out Smeargle. Gotta say, I thought Smeargle was a candidate for the winner. As for last place, shout out to Technopuff, the lone vote for Stantler. Because with that, every single normal type got rep this generation. Even though I've obviously got a major weakness for Gen 3, I don't think a lot of these are spectacular normal types. It's probably gonna be Slacking, eh? No, it's Zangoose. Okay, you know what? That's fair. It's a fun design in its own right, and obviously it's also got that rivalry with Seviper. That definitely puts it ahead. Didn't really win by a ton, though. In 2nd place, we do have Slacking, and in 3rd place, Exploud. That would probably have been my top 3 guesses. Tailo was in last place here. Not a great day for regional birds so far, but it still got a solid 1% of the vote this time around. For me, though, I'm gonna go with Cast Form. Now, Sapphire was my first game, not just my first Pokemon game, my first real video game, period. That meant Pokemon was already blowing my mind, so when I came across Cast Form and and saw it transform all by itself for the first time, that was a whole new level of mind-blowing. I was thoroughly convinced that it was the best Pokemon ever made. It was multiple Pokemon in one. How can you beat that? I still think it's a cool gimmick, but spoiler alert, it was not the best Pokemon ever. Gen 4. Well, Staraptor's gotta be one of, if not the most overall used regional birds. Oh, Porygon Z. This is the generation that a Porygon wins? I am kind of surprised by that, and not just because it's my personal least favorite of the three. Yes, Staraptor also has something of a reputation, to say nothing of Regigigas or Arceus. As for last place, we have a two-way tie with 1 vote cast for Staravia, still down on the regional birds, and 1 for Happiny. I guess I'll go Porygon Z to stay consistent, but these aren't the normals I'm most attached to. Although for the record, yes, Staraptor was on my team. Gen 5 has a ton of new normal types, but because you're playing through the entire game using only new Pokemon, these are basically repopulating the world from scratch, and a lot of them are very back to basics. Stoutland's fun, but my money would definitely be on Meloetta here. Oh yeah, by a lot. I'm merging the vote for both forms together here, but I wouldn't actually even need to. Arya form alone still takes it. No big surprises there. I'm generally not a huge fan of these superhuman designs, but this one really does work. It's a great theme, it's a cool gimmick. Gen 5 is where I initially dropped out of the series. I did that typical millennial thing where you outgrow it and then you rediscover how good it was later. So I never played Meloetta at the time, but I did pick her up in Scarlet, and yeah, she's fun. After that, we have Braviary in second place, a Pokemon I can comfortably say I hadn't thought about a single time until the Hisuian version came along, and then Cinccino in third. And in last place, we had 0 votes for Deerling Winter, or Deerling Summer, or Tranquil, another regional bird. None of the deer did particularly well either, but if you're curious, the most popular overall form was Winter Sawsbuck, and for Deerling it was the spring one, although that's not saying much. Yeah, I'm going Meloetta for this one. It's clearly the best. Also, no, I have no clue why this garbage is pickable just within the main list. I love this website, but it does have a few quirks, to say the least. Gen 6 is the last generation I've never played. I really have no clue here. Furfrou maybe? It's definitely a Pokemon Game Freak wants to be popular. Whether it actually is, I don't know. That's what this is for. Okay, it's Heliolisk. I like Heliolisk well enough. It's fun, like the Frill. Why it won this generation, I couldn't really tell you. After that, we have Furfrou if you count them all as one, which I think is fair. Same with Pyroar. The last place picks were Furfrou La Reine and Furfrou Debutante with 1 vote each, but if you don't want to count them, which I think is fair, then it goes to Litleo. Makes sense. Furfrou Dandy was the most popular form for the record. You know what? I actually think I'm going Diggersby, which I wasn't really expecting. I didn't really think much of it for a while, but it's one of your first partners you push towards in ZA, and yeah, it really grew on me. Kind of insane not to give it a Mega Evolution in that context, and frankly, I think every final evolution in this game should have gotten one. That was kind of the entire point here. There are literally no new Pokemon besides Megas. Gen 7 has some interesting stuff. These two are definitely at the forefront, but I know Beware's a comic relief character in the show, and it can't hurt with this crowd that it's a Pokeball in Smash. Let's go with that. And hey, there you go, actually by more than I was expecting to. I would imagine the show probably has a lot to do with that. And in second place we have Drampa. I was really expecting Silvally there, but it's gonna have to settle for third. Our last place vote here goes to Ikeroot's 1 vote for Mega Drampa, one of the new ZA forms. Now, the thing is, unfortunately, Cajun Avengers website didn't have the new Mega Evolution Pokemon at the time people were sending their submissions in. You were still allowed to vote for them, you just left that spot blank and told me you were doing it. But it's still more friction to do that, and they end up getting a lot of last places. I think it's only really fair to compare them against each other, which we will do. The more straightforward last place was Yungoos, which just barely edged it out. I like Alolan Raticate though. It's fun. It's a long way from the most radical regional form, but making an invasive pest species a dark type, that's clever, and I also think it looks pretty cool. Gen 8 gives us 2 regions, Galar and Hisui. Wooloo I think is kind of one of the mascots of Galar, and Wyrdeer the same for Hisui. Neither of them got the same kind of attention that Hisui and Zoroark did though. Oh, yeah, it absolutely ran away with it, which makes total sense to me. It's an awesome typing, it looks really cool. The original base Zoroark was already a fan favorite, possibly the most no-brainer slot so far. In second place, we have the Galarian rep Obstagoon, and I think it became my favorite for this slot after I caught a shiny one. I think the shiny version is just so much fun. Third place was Ursaluna, and in last place we have male Indeedee, and if you don't split by gender, it's Squavit. And how dare you people, look at it. Then finally we have Gen 9, which has multiple normal type legendaries. You don't see that a ton. They are both DLC though, which means a lot less people have used them. I'm still gonna guess probably Blood Moon or Saluna though. I should have listened to myself, it's Mousehold. And it's actually pretty substantially Mousehold. Again, you could vote for the 3 or 4 version here, and I'm merging them, but I don't have to. And then to Dunsparce, same deal with the 2 and 3 segment versions. And hey, still a top 3 for Blood Moon or Saluna. Last place is, again, the male version of Oinkologne, or if you don't count that, it's Strudel. Now for me, my favorite on this list is Grafaiai, its evolution by a large margin, but Grafaiai is also my favorite Gen 9 poison type, and again, I can't do duplicates, and I also think it would be higher on my ranking of poisons versus my ranking of normals, where I would go Cyclizar, I guess? It's one of those Pokemon that I liked and tried to fit on my team for a bit in Scarlet, but it just felt like forcing it and it eventually got cut. And then we have the overall most popular normal type in the entirety of Pokemon, Hisuian Zoroark. Yeah, not a huge surprise. There are others I expected to outrank it heading into this list, but after seeing that result and it clearly being the most dominant overall in the normal categories, I can totally buy it and I respect it. I can't really do a last place ranking for these final cells. For perspective, there were 66 options that not a single person voted for here. I'm not trying to deal with all that, so instead I'll give you a top 10. In second place, we have Porygon Z. In third, Eevee, who I really expected to be a contender for the top. Then third is Meloetta. For it, I still really don't get that one. Regigigas, Snorlax, again a contender for me. Beware, Cinccino, and rounding things out in a two-way tie between Obstagoon and Porygon 2. And I think my overall favorite normal type has to be Porygon 2. Heading into fire, I think I've established at this point that I'm not a Gen 1er, but man, looking at this list, Gen 1 was cooking with its fire Pokemon. The top 2 Pokemon are essentially exactly what I expected. First place Arcanine, second place Ninetales. You might say, oh, well, I expected Charizard to be first, and I bet you if you broaden the pool enough, that would be the case, but among a list of people who care enough about Pokemon to fill out a Pokemon chart, yeah, I knew Arcanine would take it. Charizard does get third place though, and then the last place is Charmander? What? And just barely ahead of it, we have Charmeleon. I guess all the votes for them went to Charizard instead. I don't have a better explanation. For me, I'm going Charmeleon. I think it's just a really amazing looking Pokemon in its own right, and it's also a great template for a simple middle evolution. It looks like an angsty teenager. It's got a head shape that you can easily understand how it branches into Charizards, and it's also a great progression of the much cuter Charmander, who is also a fantastic design, and I really don't get why it's in last place. You people know Magmar exists, right? Now, Gen 2 Fire is actually pretty stacked as well. I didn't take the starter bait last time, and I don't think I can do it this time either. Houndoom is right there. Yeah, I figured. I'm biased, I love Houndoom, but it's also just a really fun, sleek, edgy design, and there's a role for that. It just keeps popping up as a relevant Pokemon. In second place, we have Typhlosion, and in third place, Ho-Oh. That's pretty much exactly how I'd call it. And at the very bottom, with 1%, we have Magby. Also warranted. Houndoom's definitely going somewhere for me. Is it fire or dark? These are both pretty tough. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go with the fire slot. I do really like Entei, and I really like Ho-Oh, but it's the one. Gen 3 Fire. Now, Fire for a little bit has kind of a notorious rough streak here. Case in point, not many to go off of, and bro thinks he's on the team. Maybe that's why first place Blaziken has the highest lead of anything we've looked at so far. 41% of the vote. That's nuts. Torkoal has a very solid second place though, not very surprising, especially considering it's a competitive staple nowadays. We have Torchic in third, definitely one of the cuter starters, but Combusken, the middle evolution, is this generation's big loser, dropping past even a temporary variant of cast form, and yeah, I'm gonna say that is very warranted. I'm picking Torkoal. Weather setters are cool and I like Sun. Gen 4 continues that streak. Oh god. There's no world where this isn't Infernape. Yeah, Infernape absolutely sweeps this one. Anyone super surprised? We have Rotom Heat in second and Heatran in third, both doing their best, but not even close. Technically, our loser here is Arceus with the Flame Plate. Evil Reuniclus walkthrough set the website to its extended mode, but a more balanced competition goes to Monferno, the middle evolution again. I kinda like this one, honestly. I've never actually used Infernape on a team myself, but yeah, come on. And on to Gen 5, where of course if you need an entire new suite of Pokemon, you can't skip on the fires anymore. That does mean there are real options besides the starters again too, because Chandelure is the clear winner here. Really cool design, Fire Ghost just rules as a typing, it's been in Pokken, it's been in competitive play. I'm not generally a huge fan of this is just an object type Pokemon, but out of all of them, I think Chandelure is definitely one who does the concept justice. In second place, we actually have Volcarona, and between the two of these, they make up over half the submissions. I'm assuming Volcarona's placement has to have something to do with how long it's been a competitive mainstay for, and it is just pretty sick. Massive drop down to third with Darmanitan. At the very bottom, Muzdal submitted 1 vote for White Door, another bro thinks he's on the team moment, and just past that, we have Darmanitan Zen mode, but if we're going with like a traditional pick, it would be Pignite, which yeah, might just be my least favorite starter ever made. Yeah, for me, it's an easy Chandelure. I do like Reshiram too, though. Gen 6, there are some solid fire types here. Talonflame is the other regional bird frontrunner for me. It has not been their day so far. Am I taking that bet again? Okay, finally one takes it here, and all you had to do was add a cooler typing than normal and make it a competitive staple. Fairly close behind it though, we do have Delphox, and then Braixen takes up third place, the best showing by a middle evolution so far, and I've heard a lot of comments over the years from people who aren't particularly happy with what Braixen turns into. It's a bit of a non sequitur evolution from what I'm told, which I get to some extent, but I still would ultimately expect the final evolution to beat it. The fact that it became a new Mega Evolution form, and a fairly popular one, definitely didn't hurt its case. This is another new Mega Evolution in last place. Now, based on some of the data I've seen that we'll get to later, I really think this one's probably not being given a fair shake. The proper last place is Litleo, which, I mean, yeah. Now, for me, I'm a big Houndoom fan. I like Mega Houndoom. I do like it less than the original, though. Enough less that I'm going Delphox. Well, Gen 7 has some interesting fire. Gen 7 goes to Incineroar. Yeah, duh. Alolan Marowak actually puts up a pretty decent fight, and we've got Salazzle in third, but that one was basically predetermined. Easily Alolan Marowak for me. This is one of my favorite regional forms. Now, Gen 8 Fire is by far the tightest race we've seen so far. In first place, we have Hisuian Typhlosion. Fire Ghost is just a really popular typing, it seems. But only 0.2% behind that is Centiskorch, which I wasn't really expecting. And then only a bit past 1% behind that, we have Cinderace, who I expected to be in second place, but these ones are so close that it's again one of those cases where I think if you expanded the sample size way out, that could definitely change the order. I'm just surprised to see it competing with Centiskorch for the spot. I really expected Hisuian and Arcanine to be in the running, who did come in fourth, but like a distant fourth. And then at the very end, we have 1 vote by Magic Manganese 3 for Sizzlipede. I am going Hisuian and Arcanine, so maybe there's some bias there. You know, I still prefer the original in terms of looks, but as far as how they function, I've used some Hisuian and Arcanine online. I like its toolkit overall. I caught a shiny one. It's not my all-time favorite shiny, but still pretty nice. And a small visual downgrade from one of the best looking fire types is still pretty good. Gen 9 is actually a really tough call, man. I think I gotta guess the edgiest thing on the list here, though. Yeah, come on. This isn't the kind of Pokemon I'm naturally super inclined to like, but they just fully committed to the bit, and yeah. Right on its heels, though, we have Skeledirge, my starter from Scarlet, and oh my god, what a cool surprise. I was completely unspoiled going into this, and I wasn't expecting it to be so awesome. I love the look, I love the concept. It's another Fire Ghost. So Ceruledge for the record. I don't know what it is about this particular typing that makes it so popular. Is it just naturally a cool concept? Is there a lot of design space for Game Freak to explore? They're clearly doing something right. And then third place is Fuecoco. And listen, I haven't watched Pokemon in many years, but I know they're trying to make it one of the faces of the new reboot series, and I fully support that. Fuecoco is awesome. At the very bottom, we again have 1 vote for Delphox Mega by Cullen Hutchinson, and 1 vote for Ogerpon Hearthflame Aspect by Mac is Back. A more traditional bottom pick is, once again, the middle evolution, Crocalor. Listen, Fuecoco may actually be my overall favorite starter, and Skeledirge might also be my favorite final evolution of the starter, but I can't really get behind Crocalor that much. Incubating the egg with a fire sombrero that then hatches into a bird is cool. It's a nice concept, but it doesn't save just how goofy looking the rest of the design is. Yeah, if it wasn't obvious, I'm going Skeledirge. And then the overall most popular fire-type Pokemon as chosen by you is Chandelure, which I can't say I was totally expecting. It makes some sense to me, but at the same time, again, I skipped this generation. So even though I know it's still very popular to this day, I just didn't realize what a big deal it was compared to some Pokemon that I thought of as like eternal classics. I guess I'm just a bit behind the times. Because second place was Volcarona, another one I wouldn't have put up that high. In third, we have Ceruledge. Fourth goes to Infernape. Fifth, Delphox. Sixth, Incineroar. After that, we have Arcanine, the OG version, a little lower than I expected. Eighth is Blaziken. Ninth goes to Charizard. Hey, it cracked the top 10, and it's just barely trailed by Typhlosion, its successor. For me, it's an extremely tight race between these two. I'm still going Houndoom with the premise that I can find something else to be my favorite dark. Water type, look at all these Gen 1 waters, and again, a lot of these are actually quite good. The number one pick here was, unsurprisingly, Vaporeon. I expect we're going to see a lot of evolutions, and this is still, to this day, one of the most popular. For number 2 and 3, we actually have a dead even tie between Blastoise and Lapras. Good day for Lapras. So as a bonus, take Gyarados right behind them. If I had to guess its placement, I honestly probably would have said number 1, but maybe it's another Charizard thing where it's just a bit too obvious for this crowd. And then not one lonely vote for Horsey or Tentacool. Very sad. I really like a lot of Pokemon on this list. This might be my toughest call so far. I love Golduck, Dugong, Kingler, Kabutops, Starmie. I think it has to be Tentacruel though. Smaller pool of waters for Gen 2, and I'm gonna say a bit less inspired overall. The winner here by a relatively narrow margin was Feraligatr, a Pokemon that I would honestly like a lot more, except for that stupid spelling on its name. I understand that it was originally a character limit thing, but my god, it looks so ugly, and that character limit thing is long gone, but they're still just stuck with it. It's this small failure that constantly follows it around. Yes, it's a very petty thing to hold against something, but I do. If you want something less petty, I'm happy to direct you towards its Mega Evolution. In second place, we have Quagsire, and yeah, that's just a good time. But in third place, we have Wooper, and that did catch me off guard, especially when Suicune's in the game. Come on now. This was also my Pokken main. Not one vote for Remoraid. You know what? I'll carry on. Gen 3, the too much water generation. Well, again, I'm biased, but I really do think the Gen 3 starters have aged very gracefully. I'm going Swampert. Okay, that's interesting. Swampert does get second place, losing only to Melodic. And you know what? I really can't blame anyone for that. This is a really cool Pokemon. Oh yeah, I completely forgot that evolving it meant leveling up its beauty. I did like contests in Gen 3, but I never had any idea what I was doing. And in third place, we have Mudkip. Okay, buddy. Not a single person voted for Wailmer, seriously? Come on. Now, this is another generation where I love a lot of these Pokemon and I've used them on my teams, but I really have no choice but to go with Kyogre here. Again, Sapphire was my very first video game. For perspective, we did have Pokemon cards, and I would literally take like note cards and draw sprites from the games on them, and then use my Pokemon cards to attack other Pokemon cards with those sprites. I was that amount of desperate. When I finally got the chance to take on Kyogre, my very first legendary, it legitimately felt like a momentous life event. That's one of those Pokemon that are so ingrained that it's gonna be really hard to beat at this point. Gen 4. Well, if Mudkip didn't get it, then Piplup's not getting it. Yeah, I'm gonna say Empoleon. Okay, this is a bit of a funny position because Empoleon does kinda win, but also in second and third place we have Gastrodon East and Gastrodon West, and if you stack them together, which I'm gonna do, then that actually means they just pull out ahead. And then third place goes to Piplup. And at the bottom we have Finneon. A fish. Yeah, I'm gonna go Gastrodon for this, and even though I definitely preferred the look of the East Coast version, I'm on the West Coast and I just can't bring myself to choose it. A lot of water types in Gen 5. Actually, there have just been a lot of water types in every generation. Starter again here, I think. Yep, Samurott it is, a Pokemon that I didn't really think too much of at first, until I saw it animated. In which case, you know what? Yeah, hiding hidden blades in there is pretty cool, and it also ties into the overall evolution line in a fun way. And I guess everyone else must agree because second place goes to Duat, and third place goes to Oshawott. At the very bottom though, we have a two-way tie between Swanna and Panpour. Okay, surprise over. For me though, I gotta go with Jellicent. I like bulky waters, I like ghosts, I like its overall design, and it lets me pick the blue one this time. Okay, what water types do we have for Gen 6? Oh. The Pokemon that is, by some metrics, the most popular of all time wins the water slot from its home generation.
What is happening?
I'm very confused.
I might have lost a bet for number 2 though, Clawitzer with a quarter of the votes. Okay. And then number 3 is Barbaracle, but like a distant 3. I really expected Kyogre Primal on here, and it did make it to number 4, but I'm noticing that even when it's easy to vote for Megas, people still hesitate to. Or, you know, Mega adjacent stuff. Case in point, last place here goes to Binacle, but the next bottom 4 are all Mega evolutions. Probably don't expect too many of them until we get to the ending columns. I think I will go Kyogre Primal though, if nothing else just because it's made Kyogre essentially permanently relevant in competitive formats, and that's cool. I once again prefer the base version, but I'm not the biggest Greninja fan on the planet, and beyond that, the pickings are kinda slim this time around. And speaking of slim pickings, Gen 7, considering Alola is based on the Hawaiian Islands, I'd really expect a bit more new stuff here. First place goes to Primarina, which is not my all-time favorite starter, but I do definitely have to agree is the standout design here. And then after that, we have Golisopod and Araquanid. And then at the end, we have 1 vote by Liscus for Bruxish, which may look a little on the fancier side, but in context, this is just the Huma Huma Nuku Nuku Apua'a, which are everywhere in Hawaii. It's just another fish. Yeah, I'm gonna go Primarina. It's a solid design in its own right, and I also found a shiny female one out in the wild, which I think might be the rarest Pokemon I own now. For Gen 8, we've got starters, we've got Gigantamax, we've got funny birds, we've got legendaries. Counterpoint to all that.
The summer is for all.
Yeah, Dracovish has that apparently winning formula of incredibly stupid looking and ridiculously turbo mega broken. In second place, we have Hisui and Samurott, who's frankly a bit too close to the original for my taste, but the original was cool, so by proxy, this is still cool too. I just don't get why it's so conservative compared to the other Hisuian starters. Feels like they didn't have a ton of ideas, you know what I mean? Speaking of Hisui, third place goes to Basculegion, hell yeah. It's fun to use in Legends, it's a ghost type, looks cool, multiple forms, I get it. And the very bottom slot goes to Dreadnought Gigantamax. Ouch. An early game Pokemon showcasing the generation's new mechanic that also got featured on the show, and it lost to 1 subvariant of a Pelican. Oh, that's rough, buddy. Now for me, it's easily Urshifu Rapid Strike. I really like this gimmick. I'm honestly really surprised it only got 4% of the vote. Maybe in competitive play are people mad that it can attack through Protect? Because if so, honestly, I get it. It still looks cool doing it though. Okay, heading into Gen 9, which has easily the worst water starter. I'm sorry. God, what are they doing? Yeah, maybe that's why it lost by a landslide to Palafin. Speaking of gimmicks that I like, this is one of the coolest of any of them in any Pokemon game. It starts out as a citizen, gets swapped out like Superman running to the phone booth, and then comes out as a superhero. That is some fun design. In second place, we have Walking Wake, a primal variant of a well-liked legendary, makes sense. And third place goes to Dondozo, again, no huge surprise. The bottom slot, not going to Ogerpon variants, is Quaxwell, which I can't decide if I like better or worse than Quaquaval. They're both so far below Quaxley, it's not even funny. Yeah, I'm joining the crowd on this one. It's definitely Palafin. And then Pokemon's overall most popular water type is Greninja.
Hey, I'm surprised it's you.
In second place, we have Primarina, though, another starter, and I really didn't know how popular this one was going to be. After that, it's Araquanid, then Azumarill, who didn't get a lot of rep in its home generation, Golisopod for number 5, also sharing that vote with Gastrodon, Mudkip, of course, Quagsire, Melodic, and rounding out the top 10 with Swampert. Going in, I would have expected Piplup or Dracovish to be in the top 10, but I guess memes just sometimes can't carry you. For me, I gotta go with the original Kyogre. It's fairly old school stuff so far. I'm not necessarily expecting it to stay that way. I really do like a lot of the modern stuff too. It's just fairly clear standouts at this point. Okay, Grass, heading into the final starter category. As far as I'm concerned, probably the weakest of the 3 for Gen 1, and you all definitely seem to agree because in first place we have Venusaur, in second place we have Bulbasaur, and in third place, we have Ivysaur. It is kind of funny seeing a Smash audience not vote for the literal Smash character, but I agree it's definitely the awkward middle fit here. And in last place, we have 1 vote for Execute by Waffly Doot Doot. That seems right at home. I'm gonna go Bulbasaur for this one. I do like the concept behind the evolution line with the flower blooming, but personally, I find Venusaur a little funny looking. Gen 2 doesn't have many grass types. There's some interesting ones here. I think the Chikorita starter line is not particularly popular. Maybe it got some renewed interest in ZA, but I'm gonna go Celebi. Yep, one of the earliest mythical Pokemon. It got a movie and it's pretty cool. The starter line obviously doesn't do badly though. Not only do we have Meganium in second place, we actually have Bayleaf in third. Not a ton of middle evolutions up there so far, but I guess when you look like a thumb, you're not that hard to upstage. And at the very bottom we have Sunkern, but still with some support. I'm honestly not feeling these ones too much, but yeah, Celebi's definitely gotta be at the top. Gen 3, grass gets a lot of love here. I may have lost on Swampert, but there's no way Sceptile's letting me down, right? Nope, absolutely not, but it was a close race. Directly behind it is Breloom, which I know is another very beloved Pokemon who had a long run in the competitive scene. And in third place, we have a two-way tie between Grovyle, and after the thrashing I got from all of you last time I disrespected Grovyle in a Pokemon video, not gonna lie, I kinda thought you might back that up a bit more, and is tied with Ludicolo, a goober done right. Its precursor Lombre is in last place, though, with 1 vote from Birch. I honestly really like a lot of these. I'm also a fan of Rosalia. I think I dabbled with Shiftry for a bit. Tropius looks awesome, really let down by how pathetic its stats are. Part of growing up is realizing that Tropius was trash all along. At the end of the day though, how can I not go Sceptile? This was my starter for my first Pokemon game, it's a freebie. Gen 4, ooh, we've got a popular starter, we've got an evolution, and we've got a cute legendary. Show me that starter! Oh yeah, starters have been a reasonably safe bet provided they're well done, and this is a really cool one. You don't see a lot of asymmetrical Pokemon period, let alone ones that are supposed to be, you know, basic introductory characters, and this pulls it off great. It's a cool concept and it doesn't look too busy. In second place we have Leafeon. Evolution, yep, that checks out. And in third, Roserade, taking what I thought was already a pretty cool design and giving it way more flair. Also, nobody voted for Plant Cloak Wormadam, and the less support this thing gets, the happier I am. I did use Torterra in my Diamond playthrough, but I actually think I'm going Abomasnow. I really like Hail, now Snow teams, and I used it for a bit in Scarlet. Didn't have a ton of thoughts on it before, but yeah, this one really grew on me. Gen 5, oh god, look at all that grass. The starters keep on strong with Serperior in the top slot. Now for me, I'm not the world's biggest fan of this one, but it is very distinctive among the starters, and it's cool that in Gen 9 its contrary playstyle got fleshed out more. In second place we have Lilligant, another of the more human designs that I think works pretty well, and in third we have Ferrothorn, and going in, I thought that would be the top pick. And thankfully nobody voted for the stupid door this time around. I'm definitely going Ferrothorn for this one because it actually makes me feel something, which honestly a lot of these don't. I know the show made some Leaveney fans. I know Amoonguss is still tearing up the competitive world to this day. I know at least one channel that's based their branding around Swadloon of all things, but for me a lot of these are kind of a whiff. Gen 6s I would say I like more overall, mostly because Trevenant is in there, who was the clear outstanding winner, and I think that's very fair. This is such a cool design, and I like that playstyle too, where you like convert them into grass types. In second place we have Chestnut, another starter that I'm kinda down on, and in third we have Gogoat, and yeah, it's fun. Only 1 vote for Mega Chestnut by Zane, which I think is a bit of a shame because this is a good Mega. The traditional last pick is Quilladin, which is gutter trash, thank god. Yeah, it's an easy Trevenant for me. I thought that Mega Sceptile might be the first time we saw a Mega crack into the top 3, and it is the most popular among them, but still didn't get a ton of the vote. People really are reluctant to pick them. Gen 7, you've got a lot of grass types, some pretty big misses in here though. This is definitely a Decidueye round. Yeah, it is, and it's not surprising to see it clobbering. That was my starter in Ultra Sun, and not only is it a cool design, not only are archers fun, but using its own body as the bowstring, that's a really inspired detail. It's another one like Samurott, where if we were still just working with 2D sprites, you couldn't really convey the entire appeal of the design. In second place, we have Lurantis, another conceptually very cool one, a plant masquerading as a mantis. That's why it's not a bug type for the record. And in third place, we have Serena, which for me is kind of meh. I expected it to be Kartana. And in last place, we have Dartrix, which is, yeah. You've got the super cute Rowlet, the super cool Decidueye, and then whatever the hell this is supposed to be sandwiched awkwardly in there. It's Decidueye for me. It's so clearly Decidueye. Shout out to Alola and Exeggutor for really committing to the bit though. Gen 8 is awkward. I guess I'll go with the starter again, but I really have no read on how popular Rillaboom is. It's been a big deal in the competitive scene, but I'm still not actually 100% sure how much that matters on this. Oh, Appleton. Okay, I mean, I like Appleton, it's fun. Apple Pie Dragon. I've just never heard anyone talk about it. In second place, we have Hisuian Lilligant, and I get that one a lot more. I think it's a very effective regional form, and going from like a dainty to a very agile playstyle's hammered home really well with its boss fight in Legends Arceus. And okay, Rillaboom does slip into the top 3, but not having it first doesn't shock me. It's kind of funky looking, and while I like how the percussion aspect is integrated into the overall evolution lineup, once it is fully evolved, it really doesn't feel all that musical. I mean, hell, the illustration used on the official Pokédex website doesn't even show any drums. That's kind of weak theming. Still made it out a hell of a lot better than Gigantamax Appleton though, along with every Gigantamax. I think I'm gonna join the crowd with Appleton here. It's fun, Grass Dragon's a cool typing, and it's also one of my dedicated Pokemon for taking on raids in Scarlet, so I've used it far more than anything else here, including Hisuian Decidueye, who was my starter in Pokemon Legends Arceus, and that was the very first time I've ever benched a starter. Owl eggs creep me out, man. Put those things away. And then Gen 9 has a good amount of grass types, including some pretty heavy hitters. Our winner is Meowscarada, which is another grass starter that I'm personally not a massive fan of, but I know it's a very popular one. It's got interesting theming and interesting playstyle with that floating trick. It's just too human for me, like actual Uncanny Valley territory. A humanoid design I like better, Ogerpon comes in at second place if you merge all of its different forms together. There are a lot of them to choose from, but the thing is, Ogerpon is so popular that even if you only count the base form, it still gets second place. I mean, what were you really expecting here? It gets its own dedicated DLC adventure, it's incredibly powerful in competitive play, it's got a weapon which a lot of people seem to like too. She's also one that I actually think could have fit really well into Smash Ultimate if the timing had lined up. And because I'm not going to count all Ogerpons and base form Ogerpon as 2 separate entries, that means our third place this time around goes to Hydrapple. Another Apple Dragon I'm a bit surprised by. And 1 vote each for Mega Chestnut and Capsicid. That's unfortunate. I think this is a super strong lineup. I like really everyone here except for maybe you guys, but it's a shame they have to go up against a couple of massive fan favorites because yeah, it's Ogerpon for me. And then people's overall most favorite grass type Pokemon is Torterra. I love Torterra, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to see it, I just didn't expect it to get nearly this much love. Now, to be fair, it only beat Decidueye by a single vote. In third place, we have the pooled votes for Ogerpon, which really was a contender for my top slot. Then Sceptile in fourth, another contender, Meowscarada, Leafeon, the OG Lilligant, Ogerpon as a standalone, we'll cross that out and go to Serperior, who tied with it, Venusaur, and then Trevenant. This is legitimately a big group of some of my favorite Pokemon, and Trevenant's really high up there too. I gotta go Sceptile though, right? Like, I know I'm being a boomer, I get it, and we're out of the woods with the starters now. I think things are gonna be more diverse moving forward, but it's my very first starter for my very first video game. That's just how things are. Okay, now heading into Electric, and there's a very clear frontrunner here, right? Big ol' elephant in the room. No, the winner is Jolteon by a fair margin. In second place, though, we do have Raichu. That's a fun surprise, I'm super down with it. And then Zapdos gets the third place slot, and Pikachu is a fairly uncompetitive fourth. Yeah, I guess it's another Charizard situation where among more dedicated fans, Pikachu's just a bit too obvious. Voltorb takes the bottom slot, which I think is a bit of a shame, I kind of prefer it over Electrode myself. And then my first place pick is Raichu. I really like Raichu. I totally get why it's not the face of the franchise, Pikachu is way better suited to that role, but for me, it's always been a cooler design. And I'm glad to see so many people agree. I even really like both its upcoming Mega Forms, which I know is a bit more of a controversial take. Okay, haven't seen Gen 2s. Well, I'm assuming if Pikachu didn't take it, then Pichu certainly isn't. We do have a legendary sitting there, but I feel like Ampharos gets the most love. Oh, okay, yeah, Ampharos gets a lot of love as it turns out. I totally get it. It strikes a balance between cute and cool. Then we do actually have Raikou in second place and Pichu in third. This is the generation that introduced baby Pokemon, and if one of them was going to be in a top slot, of course it was going to be Pichu. Another one though, Elekid, is all the way down there, and I can't pretend I've ever played through a Pokemon game waiting for Elekid to show up. Now for my pick, I'm going Lantern. It's just a chill fish trying to zap you. I think that's fun. Gen 3, what happened here? I'm guessing Manectric Sweep? Like, they've tried so hard to make Plusle and Minun a thing, and I never really get the feeling that they actually are. Plus, they inherently vote split. Yeah, okay, and this is the first time we've seen over half the vote go to one Pokemon, but what does that really matter here? Second and third place are predictably Plusle and Minun. Minun takes it by a very small amount, getting over 20% of the vote, where Plusle gets just under. I actually agree that Minun's a slightly more elegant design, but I can't really tell you why. I guess the tail battle's just a bit less busy. I guess blue goes better with cream. I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I can take or leave any of these. I guess I'll go mining because Gen 3 was the game that introduced double battles, so having this partner pair Pokemon is kind of clever in that sense, I guess. It's not even implemented that well, though. We're back to a healthy population, even if like half of that is Rotom. And Pichu variants. What are you guys doing here? Again, this website has some interesting choices sometimes. Okay, so if it was only really hardcore Pokemon fans voting on this, then I think Pachirisu might have a shot. I don't think I'm necessarily working with that. It comes down to Luxray or Magnezone. Let's go Magnezone. Okay, I really can't hold it against anyone to go with Luxray. It was on my Arceus team. And probably Diamond as well. I can't remember off the top of my head, but again, Gen 4 does have that team. It is brought down a bit in my eyes by not being partially dark type though, which I know is a very common complaint, but look at it, it's warranted, it's clearly coded that way. In second place, we have Magnezone, and in third, Electivire, both newly introduced evolutions for Gen 1 Pokemon. Not shocking to see in isolation, but it does push the nearest Rotom variant out of the top 3, which I'm a little surprised by. Rotom does get second place if you pool everything together, but this time around, I'm not actually sure how fair that is. They are very distinctly different Pokemon. Taken in isolation, you have Rotom Fan at the bottom, which, yeah, is the least distinctive one to me. I can pretty comfortably pick Magnezone here. Okay, Gen 5, again a lot of choices, and again just stuff at the bottom. This website has like a standard mode that almost everyone uses and then some extended modes. I really don't get why these are available in standard. It's not gonna go to them, hopefully. Electros maybe? Okay, Galvantula, I really don't know what I'm doing here. Electros is right behind it. And then in third, we have Emolga. And at the bottom, we have a tie with 1 vote for Mega Electros, which is a little unfortunate. I'm not a huge fan of the original design, but I do think the Mega's kind of cool. And 1 vote for the UFO, and this time around, not a single tear shed. And the more traditional loser is Electric. And for me, while I definitely prefer some of the Pokemon Galvantula was replacing, I still like Galvantula. Ah yes, a full army of that Gen 6 all-time classic, Pikachu. So grateful to X and Y for introducing the world to Pikachu. Well, it was Heliolisk last time, so yep, runs away with it again. I still can't tell you why. In second place, we have Dedenne. Seriously, Gen 4 is the only time a Pikachu clone doesn't get picked, really? And then third goes to Mega Ampharos. Finally a Mega cracking the top 3. This is another one that I really thought might be the one to do it. That said, if you look at the choices here, yeah, not a lot to compete against. The bottom picks are literally all the Pikachu variants for the record. Pikachu Libre 1, as you'd expect. Personally, I like Pikachu more than any of these, but I'm not willing to choose these stupid costume variants, so it's gonna be Mega Ampharos. Okay, we're in Gen 7 and we've got more Pikachus. The winner here is Vikavolt, which I could not have predicted. I seriously thought it was going to be Alolan Raichu, who does come in second place. For me, that's a contender for my single favorite regional form. And yes, it does belong on this list. It's not just wearing a hat. In third, we have Xurkitree, one of the few Ultra Beast reps so far. And all the way at the bottom, we have 1 solitary vote for Alolan Geodude by Thiago. I'm 1000% team Alolan Raichu. Now we're in Gen 8, and there's another clean sweep here. In first place, we have Toxtricity, if you count them as 1, and in second place, we have Toxtricity Amped. Third goes to Regieleki, and fourth goes to Toxtricity Loki. I'll include Dracozolt at 5th, work those out however you want. Which is funny because the very bottom pick is actually Toxel. Again, I guess all its votes went upwards, and let's be honest, yeah, that makes sense. I'm going Toxtricity, but Toxtricity Loki. Not only was it on my team for Pokemon Shield, but also bases, low-key, more fun to play. As for Gen 9, well, you have an electric legendary that you're working in closer capacity to than any other legendary in the series, and as you'd expect, yep, Miraidon takes it convincingly. And in second place we have Iron Hands. This is definitely one of my favorite Future Paradox forms, and it's also one of the few that are eligible for this category because it's actually a robot that's electric type. And in third we have Raging Bolt, which to this day I maintain is a sharp downgrade over Raikou, but what are you gonna do? The last place vote was one write-in by Simpton for Mega Raichu X, and then right above that we have Mega Electros, and then right above that we have Tadbulb. That's a shame, I kinda like Tadbulb. Not as much as this evolution though, I'm picking Bellibolt. Another goober I can get behind. I had a Bellibolt on my team the entire way through Scarlet. It's just too goofy not to love, plus it's a pretty coherent design at the end of the day. And then everyone's favorite electric type overall, was Jolteon. I definitely could have called that in the top bracket. It only beat Luxray by 1 vote, our number 2 though. I didn't expect it to be so high. Or Galvantula for number 3 for that matter. Alolan Raichu takes number 4, then we have Toxtricity if you merge them, then Magnezone, Ampharos, Xurkitree, Vikavolt, Electros, and if you split the Toxtricities, then Raichu actually rounds out the top 10, barely edging out the Amped form. I've got a very unconflicted choice here. It's Toxtricity Low-Key. This is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon. It helps that I also really like poison types. I think for both of them, the concept of playing their own self-made strings to unleash sound wave attacks at their opponents is a fantastic design concept, but I prefer Low-Key's color scheme. I think the fewer strings makes the design a bit cleaner, and yeah. Then we have Ice, a type that's been historically neglected by Game Freak in terms of power level maybe, but not so much design. There are some beautiful Ice-type Pokemon. I feel like now that we've moved away from starters, there are going to be more legendaries popping up. This has to be Articuno, right? Hold up, exactly half of you voted for Lapras. I was so far off on that one, wow. I guess Lapras has always been hanging around as a very functional Pokemon in the games and the show, but I just truly had no idea. Articuno does come in second place, fair enough, and while we're here, let me just, yeah. Then in third place we have Cloyster. And fourth goes to Dugong, which means that even with only 5 options, you managed to completely bury Jinx. Good for you. Gen 2 Ice, I'm guessing Sneasel wins it by a landslide? Oh yeah, almost half the vote, there we go. Swinub comes in second place, we see Pokemon's classic dichotomy of cute and cool, and Delibird third. Piloswine comes in fourth, which means that even with only 5 options, you managed to completely bury Smoochum. Good for you. Yeah, for me it's Sneasel, easy. Gen 3 is honestly kind of lacking in the cool department, but not the cool department, As far as cute goes though, we do have Spheal. Oh, that's way more dominant than I thought. The people crave Spheal. In second place, we have Regice, certainly not your classic cool Pokemon, but it definitely has its own appeal. And then third goes to Walrein. The loser was technically the ice variant of Cast Form, but Celio is directly above it. I'm gonna go with Regice here. It's again the kind of Pokemon that I just didn't really expect to exist at that point. And the Braille-based hunt for the original Regice is still one of the more interesting legendary quests they've come up with. Moving on to Gen 4, oh, is that another evolution? Yes it is, and yes it wins. A really close race between it and Weavile though. That one's also been a huge fan favorite for a long time, really not an unreasonable guess. Third place goes to Mamoswine, who I was not expecting to overtake Frostlass, but to be fair, the margin between second to fourth is extremely tight. In last place we have Mega Frostlass with 2 write-ins, but more fairly, Snover. This is kind of a tough one for me. I really like Weavile and Frostlass, but I think I would have to go Frostlass. Like I said, I really like Hail and Snow. I've used a bit of Frostlass before, and I love that they made a Pokemon that looks so deeply human at first glance, but is not actually all that humanoid. It's elegant and a little creepy. It fits the theming so well. Okay, moving into Gen 5. If you count Kyurem Black and Kyurem White together, they technically win it, but I don't think that's fair. If you want to tell me, hey, I really like Sawsbuck, you could do that by choosing any Sawsbuck form, whereas if you want to say, hey, I really like Kyurem, you can just choose Kyurem, you know, that's at least a good chunk of the logic behind which votes get merged and which don't. So in that case, the winner is actually Vanillux. Can we go back? After that, we have Cryogonal. Can we go back? I'm sorry, there is some Gen 5 stuff I really love, but man, I hate the ice types this generation. And then in third place, we do have the original Kyurem, which I think clearly looks worse than either fusion. It's intentionally incomplete, but people have definitely trended towards base forms so far, and this one also doesn't vote split. Last place goes to Vanillish, more middle evolution syndrome. As for me, I'm going Kyurem White because I think it looks the coolest. Not much justification beyond that. Gen 6 only introduced 2 new ice lines plus some megas. There's no way this is an Aurorus, right? Oh, that's an understatement. Wow. Sure, Avalugg came in second place, but it's really not even in the running. And then third goes to Amora, cleanly beating out the Megas. Again, we have 1 write-in vote for Mega Frostlass at the bottom, sent in by PGamer679. And yeah, the one directly above that, but still way above it, is Mega Abomasnow. And there's no hard numbers here, but intuitively, I just feel like that wouldn't be the case if they were equally accessible, you know what I mean? Mega Abomasnow could certainly still win. It's obviously got much more history behind it, and you can also argue that Mega Frostlass shouldn't be selectable here at all and should only be available in Gen 9, but either way, it definitely does feel like the ZA Megas have some wonky results here. I'm going Aurorus, that's not a hard call. And neither is Gen 7, where we have Alola Ninetales once again sweeping over 50% of the vote. Yeah, let me just go ahead and there we go. I love Snow, I love Aurora Veil. This is the premier Pokemon for that. Plus, it just looks incredible. Another candidate for my favorite regional form. In second place, we have Alolan Sandslash, the Moon exclusive, which, yeah, I like as well, but you Moon players definitely got a bit shafted by that. And then in third place, we have Alolan Vulpix. Crabominable, unfortunately, did not get the bottom slot. That's gonna go to Alolan Sandshrew, which I think is a sin, but it's not my list. Gen 8 actually introduced a lot of new ice types, more than I remembered. It's a relatively close race here. The winner is Frostmoth, and it's a beautiful looking Pokemon, I understand. Kevin refused to take one off his team, even though it was absolutely useless because he and his girlfriend just liked having it around. Fair enough. It does have some nice stuff going for it, and I know it seemed like a little bit of competitive niche here and there, but yeah, overall, Bug Ice is rough to work with. I mean, you could always just give up all hope and go with Snom, which apparently 17% of the voters are perfectly happy to do. And then in third place, it's actually Ice-Q. Wow. I really expected Calyrex Ice Rider to be on here, but it only got 4%. Not super surprising to see Galarian Mr. Mime at the bottom, though. Who asked for this? The thing is, though, for my favorite, I'm actually picking Mr. Rhyme. I just wish we could skip past the base form. This is another Pokemon that you really need to see animated to get the full appeal of. But after he does start dancing, I think it's really fun. Plus, honestly, the ice types this generation are not super great for me. Gen 9 has far fewer ice types, but I would say the overall quality is a bit higher. We got a pseudo-legendary and a legendary. I'm gonna guess the legendary. Yeah, for sure. Shenpao is like the ice type. It's a typing that inherently creates glass cannons, and this has no defenses, amazing offense, passively lowers the defense of every other Pokemon on the field, including its own partner, and looks sick as hell doing it. You know the devs expected this one to be a fan favorite. I am actually a little surprised to see Iron Bundle take second place, though. Definitely one of the stronger Future Paradox forms. Again, it's got some nice animation work. But I say that because Satitan is in third place, and that means that Baxcalibur, the generation's pseudo-legendary, has actually been pushed out. I've heard a lot of people complain about Baxcalibur's design. I agree its face is a little plain, but I still really like it. I like it enough that I would pick it, actually. And then in last place, we once again have Mega Frostlass, and right above that, Frigibax. I knew when I caught this weirdo, it was definitely being queued up to evolve into something awesome, an ugly duckling thing, so I guess the fact that Baxcalibur looks good instead of insane might be part of the grudge against it. And the overall favorite ice Pokemon comes down to a 1-vote split. In first place, we have Glaceon. Never one of the first evolutions I think of, but clearly got a fan base. And then 1 vote behind that, we have Alolan Ninetales. Third place goes to Frostlass. Then we have Weavile, Mamoswine, that's a surprise. Spheal, not a surprise. Lapras, Aurorus, Shenpao, and Alolan Sandslash just clinches the top 10. Okay, for me, we're back to boomer territory. I've got 2 quote-unquote Gen 1s to pick between. It's gotta be Articuno, though. This is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon. It's a masterclass in simplicity for me. It really does look like a legendary, but it doesn't need to do anything particularly outrageous to catch your attention. It just looks so flowing and elegant that you would never expect to see it on a random route. Heading into fighting, which I think is a pretty popular type with players overall. The winner for Gen 1 is Machamp. Yep. In second place, we have Poliwrath. Couldn't compete in the water slot, understandably, but it fits more in here. And then third, we have Hitmonlee. It's only 1% above Hitmonchan, to be fair, but a winner's a winner. In last place, we have one surplus mode vote for Galarian Farfetch'd. A more competitive one is Machop. I don't blame anyone who used the extra modes on the website. Nobody knew what I was going to be doing with this stuff, but it's not very good data, and I'm probably going to stop talking about it. I'm going Hitmonlee. I've always really liked the idea of a kicking-based playstyle. Gen 2. Well, first place Heracross with 70% of the vote. Second place Hitmontop with 27. And then we wind things down with 2 for Tyrogue. Yeah, of course it's Heracross, let's be real here. Gen 3, the beginning of the firefighting starter, so I was wondering if Blaziken was going to dominate both categories, but no, Breloom destroys this one. I would imagine that if people aren't doing the duplicate thing, they're definitely going to put Blaziken in fire more often than fighting. Blaziken does manage a very distant second place, right above Hariyama for third. That's going to be my choice too, I love Hariyama. And at the very bottom, we have Meditite, losing even to Combusken, which is just embarrassing. Gen 4 introduces multiple of the most popular fighting types ever made here. There's no way Lucario doesn't take this though, right? Oh yeah, by a lot. It's arguably the face of this generation, and it's definitely one of the most popular Pokemon, period. And again, being a Smash character doesn't hurt. In second place, we have Gallade, a design that I'm personally not a fan of purely because of that weird pantaloon, but apparently a lot of people are way more forgiving of it than me. And in third place, we have Toxicroak. This time the starter doesn't manage to get there at all. Monferno is still sitting at the very bottom, that's consistent at least. And I'm going Toxicroak. Even though I do think of it as more of a poison Pokemon, I want to leave that slot clear. Gen 5 has so many fighting types in it thanks to the legendaries. And the fire fighting starters continue. Is Emboar popular? I feel like it's not. I'm gonna guess Conkeldurr. Mienshao, okay. Yeah, it's a cool design. I've never used it or anything, but no complaints. Then we drop down to Scrafty, a design that I knew was popular solely because it got a new Mega Evolution this generation. And in third place, we have Conkeldurr. Mega Scrafty is at the very bottom. The traditional loss would be Girder. And I'm going Conkeldurr. Now, there are a lot of Gen 5 Pokemon that were obviously taking over roles for existing ones. A lot of the designs, I think, are kind of strictly inferior to what they're replacing. Conkeldurr is not. You know, it's filling in that Machamp kind of role, and they managed to make something that is very reminiscent of it, but still hits totally differently between the weapons and the clown getup. It's a cool design. I will say though, I don't get why it's not also rock type with that concrete. Like, yeah, okay, sure, it's technically not part of its body, at least I think. But, you know, if there's a Pokemon out there that can just really mess up some concrete pillars, I feel like that probably should be taken into account here. Just saying. Gen 6, again a decent amount of options until you realize that basically all of them are Megas. I'm not willing to gamble on any of those, considering Hawlucha and Chestnut both got new Mega Evolutions this generation. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say one of them's the most popular, and I'm guessing Hawlucha. Oh yeah, it's absolutely crushing it. Brendan talks about how excited he was to finally have a fighting flying type, and yeah, not only is that a cool typing, going the Luchador route is also such a good way to get that typing. And then in second place, we actually have Pangoro, one that didn't get a Mega Evolution. I've seen a lot of complaints about that. And then finally in third, we do have Chestnut, the much less common grass fighting starter. At the bottom, we have one vote for that Mega Hawlucha, and even outside of that, Mega Medicham is still the loser, which I think is a bit of a shame. I like that one more than a lot of the fighting Megas. Maybe more than all of them, in fact, except for Mega Gallade, who did crack the top 4. In fact, you know what? I think I'm going with Mega Gallade. I really wanted to vote for the base version, but I couldn't get over the Pantaloons. The Mega does not ditch the Pantaloons, but it adds a cape. And I think that's just enough compensatory cool factor for me. For Gen 7, once again, we've got a decent amount of new ones. For me, it's a choice between Beware Again or the Fighting Dragon. But I don't think I've ever heard or seen anyone reference Komao in any context. Let's do Beware Again. Oh, it's Mars Shadow. I'll have to take your word for it. I know it got a movie, and ghost fighting is cool. After that, we do actually have Komao, and then Buzzwole. I would have been surprised not to see him pop up. In last place, we have Hakamao, a Pokemon that I completely forgot existed until I was making this. Rounding out the bottom 3, though, we have a dead even tie between Crabominable, which should be at the bottom, but okay, at least it's down there, and Crabrawler. Are you people insane? Maybe the biggest evolutionary downgrade in series history. These do not deserve to be in the same tier. I'm going Komao. That's a super cool dragon type. Now the thing is, if Crabrawler just didn't evolve, it might be my choice, but I will never get over that betrayal. Gen 8, and again, look at all of these. I know we're talking about 2 games technically, but man, fighting types have never starved once, have they? The clear winner here is Phalanx, and I'm not a Phalanx fan, but I understand. In second place, we have Sirfetch'd, and in third, we have Galarian Zapdos. That's really not the lineup I was expecting. No Zamazenta, no Urshifu, none of the Hisuian stuff, huh? And at the very bottom, we have G-Max Rapid Strike Urshifu, who not a single person voted for. I want to leave the steel slot open for Gen 8, so this is where I'm putting Zamazenta. One of my all-time favorite legendaries. It was criminally upstaged by Zacian for a long time. It's been cool seeing it make a comeback recently. Speaking of legendaries, Gen 9 Fighting has the other legendary that you work closer alongside than ever before, but it did not get the same kind of love. The winner this time around is Annihilape, and don't get me wrong, I understand why Annihilape's popular, but I really expected Koraidon to be popular too. It loses out on second place as well to Iron Valiant, and okay, I see this one. You take Gardevoir, you take Gallade, 2 already extremely popular Pokemon, and then you fuse them into a mech with a Darth Maul Saber. Yeah. I will say though, I have the same problem with this as I do with a lot of the Future Paradox forms. It doesn't have the decency to be steel type. Like, yeah, sure, I get it. They're all literally iron something or other, and it would be really boring if they were all locked into one shared typing, something that the past Paradox forms don't have to worry about whatsoever. But that still reveals a pretty big crack in the entire concept behind these guys, and if you wanted to preserve that future theme, you could easily have gone with like a fusion direction or a genetic manipulation direction. That still would have done the job well without creating this kind of a disconnect. And then Koraidon does still make top 3, but come on, this is his own game. Why are you doing this to him? And then last place is Pomo. Checking in during editing, fun fact, people care so little about Pomo that when I googled it to get this image, Google asked me if I made a mistake. Here I am talking up Koraidon, and I'm also a Scarlet player, and yet I've got to join the Iron Valiant crowd. Darth Maul's my favorite villain of all time. What choice do I have? And everyone's favorite fighting type Pokemon.
Who do you fucking think it is?
Yeah, no amount of it's too obvious a pick was ever going to overwrite just how popular Lucario actually is. Last time I made a big Pokemon video, I wrote some scripts to help like import and process PNGs, that kind of thing, and I just naturally gravitated towards using Lucario as the test character. He is such a baked-in part of the series now. In second place, we actually have Phalanx exceeding my expectations again, then Breloom, Heracross, Marshadow, Iron Valiant, Hawlucha, Annihilate, Gallade, and Mienshao. Definitely my middle generation blind spot coming through here. In no universe would I ever expect this to be in the top 10. Now for me, it's Toxicroak. Another poison hybrid pick, and this one I think pairs really well with fighting. I love the concept of attacking with those barbs on your hands. Love the overall design. It looks so sinister and kind of goofy at the same time. Very Pokemon. It's got the cool integration with the throat sack. I really like Toxicroak. Now we're just doing a full-on poison plunge though, and I've heard a lot of people say Gen 1 has way too many poison types. I agree it's a bit of a weird choice, but on the other hand, there's some good stuff here. This is actually one of the toughest predictions I've made. I'm gonna go with Arbok. It's got a legacy in the show and it's pure poison type. Oh no, it's Nidoking. Good job everyone. Excellent choice. In a distant second place we have Gengar, and I'd imagine the only reason it's that far down is because everyone else put it in their ghost slot. And in third we have Tentacruel. Hey, love to see it. And nobody voted for Weedle. Now for me, considering I've already chosen Tentacruel, yep, it's Nidoking. I love Nidoking. I guess Gen 2 really got the memo on the whole too many poison things. Hey, this has to be a Crobat sweep. There it is. People love Crobat. Second place goes to Ariados trying its best. Then we have Quillfish and Spinarak still hanging in there. Personally, I like Ariados more than Crobat, but Ariados is also a bug type, so yeah, we'll give this one to Crobat. And Gen 3 still kind of feels like it's compensating for the initial flood. You know, I'm gonna say if Zangoose won it, so Viper probably won it. Yeah, you guys wouldn't split them up like that. Then we have Rosalia in second place, not too far behind, and Dustox in third, which is a pretty underwhelming Pokemon, but at the same time, the only things left at the bottom were Swalot and Gulpin, so yeah. I'm gonna say Rosalia this time. Gen 4 is actually kind of tough. Drapion? Okay, no, Roserade. It's cute and it's cool, I understand. After that, we do have Drapion in second place, and then finally Toxicroak. And in last place, we have Stunky. At least its evolution has a bit of flair to it. The base form is just a skunk. I think I'm going Roserade. Gen 5, we get a bit more poison expansion. It's gonna be Scolipede or Amoonguss. I'm guessing Scolipede. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. It runs away with it. It has been a notorious speed booster and competitive before, but nowadays Amoonguss is certainly the more famous competitive one. But Scolipede just stands out a lot more, which is a way bigger deal to way more of the audience. And then we have Trubbish in third. Not even Garbodor. Trubbish. I even had multiple people write in to tell me how much they like Trubbish. What a world. One write-in vote for Mega Scolipede at the bottom, and then after that, it's Venipede. I guess I'm going Amoonguss because I hate Baton Pass. Gen 6 only has one truly new line, eh? Well, Dragalge's the winner by a lot, and afterwards, hey, look at that, for the first time we have 2 Megas in the top 3, but that feels pretty hollow. To be fair, they are definitely 2 of the cooler Megas, as opposed to Mega Venusaur, who still can't crack anything.
Personally, I think they should make Mega Venusaur 2 with an even bigger flower.
I do really like Mega Gengar though, and this might be my only chance to choose it. Gen 7's got a lot to work with. Toxapex is cute and cool, yeah. Yeah, it's Ceaseless, okay. I've seen the Markiplier video, I know what this is. We do have Toxapex in second place, and then third goes to Nihilego. Way down there at the very bottom, we have Alolan Grimer. That makes a certain amount of sense. I'm kind of surprised not to see Alolan Muck in the top 3 though. And Naganadel, this actually didn't shake out like how I thought. It's Poison Dragon, that combo is just way too cool. Moving on to Gen 8, where we've got a bunch of regional stuff from Galar and Hisui, but nothing can overtake Toxtricity again. Toxtricity Amped takes the top slot even if you don't count them together. After that we have Galarian Slowbro and Sneasler. And the very last slot goes to Gigantamax Garbodor. And I will say, of all the Gigantamaxes out there are plenty of others that I think deserve last places before this one. It's not a bad concept as far as they go. I'm not gonna go Toxtricity again, so I guess I'm doing Hisui and Sneasel. You know what? Okay, even though I don't love the visual design for Sneasler, it is really fun to climb around on mountains with, and Dire Claw's a cool attack. I guess that bumps it up. I don't feel great about it though. And Gen 9 has tons of new poison types because there was a whole legendary line built around it. It's definitely gonna be Clodsire though. Good. This was maybe the single biggest sanity check of the entire video. In second place we have Glamora. I find everything about it kind of uninspired, except for its ability to shed poison spikes. Big fan of that one. I know there are people who love this more obscure, abstract kind of design though. When Blackacre says it looks like it was designed just for him, I do understand where he's coming from. It's just not a group I'm in. And then in third place we have Grafaiai. And as I already mentioned, that's definitely my pick. And at the very bottom, outside of some mega write-ins, we have one vote for Glimmet by Fire the Pyro. You really do like your underdogs, don't you? Yeah, Clodsire won. It won by a really narrow margin though, just barely ahead of Scolipede, who I was not expecting to be that high. I thought second place would be Crobat. Then in fourth we have Roserade, then Nidoking, Toxtricity, Dragalge, Toxapex, Nihilego, Salazzle, and Sneasler. This is another category with a ton of Pokemon that I really love in it, but at the end of the day, they just nailed Nidoking right away. It looks super cool, it hits hard, it's not the most poisony poison type out there, but it's one that I think is going to keep resurfacing for a long time, and it also has like the single best shiny in the entire series. Heading into ground, which is actually another pretty strong type for Gen 1, I'm gonna guess Marowak. Well, I mean, if you all just want to keep picking Nidoking, I'm good with it. In second place, we have Sandslash, not surprised to see that. And in third place, Rhydon, which, again, yeah, I get it. I can accept Marowak in fourth, it's a strong category. Even Geodude, all the way down there at the bottom, has at least, you know, a couple fans. For me, it's a really close toss-up between Marowak and Rhydon, but because I already went with Alolan Marowak, I'll let Rhydon have it. It's a really cool, effective design overall. Admittedly, maybe a bit too close to Nidoking, but they're both effective in their own ways. I had its card as a kid that was always one of my favorites, and if I remember right, I also used it on my Fire Red team. Thank God it never got a horribly ugly evolution that messed up the entire line. That would really suck. Alright, Gen 2, again, we've got some pretty good stuff here. I mean, Quagsire's not as good as Clodsire, but yeah, there it is. Swamp Goober is just an archetype that does the job. Donphan comes in second place, again, I expected that. Rolling Elephants are fun, I don't know what to tell you. And then in third place, we have Steelix, the steel type vote, I guess, not pulling too much away here. Last place goes to Pupitar, which at 1% is honestly still higher than I would have expected. I guess it's got a little bit of a personality to it. And me, I'm going Gligar. Oh, I do have a type, don't I? I've never actually noticed this before. Gen 3 has some distinctive stuff in it too. Swampert seems like a safe bet, but it couldn't win in the water category, and I'm sure that siphoned off a lot of votes, so I'm going Groudon. Well, I was right not to choose Swampert, because it's a Flygon sweep. Really? I like Flygon, it's cool. I just massively underestimated this. And then just to rub salt in the wound, Swampert did still beat Groudon by one vote. Barboach takes the bottom slot, of course it does. And even though I never played Ruby, or Emerald for that matter, I'm still gonna let Groudon get up there with Kyogre. Gen 4 has a lot of really popular ground types in it, wow. But one of them's Garchomp, so... Oh, nope, definitely too smug about that one. Gliscor cleans house. I love Gliscor, I just really can't believe it wasn't Garchomp. It's just gonna have to settle for second place, and then in third, Torterra returns. Speaking of settling, I really dislike both of you. I dislike Rhyperior a lot more, but I can settle for Wormadam at the bottom. Because Torterra missed out on the grass slot for me, I'll put it here. Okay, Gen 5, again, we got a good amount to choose from. Easy Excadrill, though. Oh god, I am sinking. It's Crocodile. I would have put it in the top 3. Definitely did not expect it to unseat Excadrill though. And then in third place we have Golurk, and I would not have put this one in the top 3. Even if we count both forms of Landorus together, it only gets around a quarter of the votes of third place. Last place goes to Palpitoad. Thank you. I am tempted to put Excadrill. I don't really respect what a blatant drop-in replacement for Sandslash it is. It's really obvious even by Gen 5 standards, but Excadrill did end up on my team for ZA, and you know what? I ended up really liking it. I even like its Mega, one that I've heard a lot of people be pretty down on. I think the ridiculous over-the-top drill is just a lot of fun. Alright, that'll do it. Gen 6. Megas have done pretty terrible, and there's no way that the rabbit is beating out the legendary Snake Dragon. And yeah, as expected, this one goes to Zygarde. More specifically, Zygarde 50% form, with over 50% of the vote. Then in second place, we have Primal Groudon. People really doing anything they can not to vote for a Mega, except choose Diggersby, I guess, because Mega Swampert does slip over it by 1 vote. We have 1 write-in for Mega Zygarde by Smash Fusions, and above that is Mega Camerupt, and I'm not really sure why this got a Mega in the first place. You know what I'm actually gonna do? I'm gonna drop Diggersby in here, and then my Gen 6 normal type is gonna switch to Furfrou. The thing is, I've never even really glanced at Furfrou before, but in ZA, you need to collect an entire team of them, and while you don't need to groom them, it definitely encourages you to try it out. And you know what? It was legitimately fun. I still wish you weren't stuck with the exact same moveset no matter what form you chose. That does drag down the experience of building a team of it a bit, but damn if that mission didn't do its job. It made me a fan of a new Pokemon. You can't really aspire higher than that. Okay, Gen 7 ground. This is an interesting lineup. The winner here is Palisand. I couldn't have called that. Mudsdale's in second place. Yeah, that was what I thought was going to be the runaway winner.
My name is Mud.
And then the new Zygarde forms win whether we separate them or not. It's either both of them together or Zygarde complete, depending on how you want to count it. Just 1% of the vote there for Alola and Diglett. And this is another group where I'm not really in love with any of them, but I guess Mudsdale. It's not exactly the most mind-blowing design in the world, but you know what? Pokemon needed kind of like a real horse Pokemon on the team. Gen 8, again kind of an interesting one. Well, the runaway pick here is Runerigus, which is a cool design. I am surprised to see it beat out Ursaluna though. And in third we have Sandaconda, because I guess it's at least new. I don't like this thing very much. Silicobra doesn't have any of that bellows gimmick, it's just a boring ground snake. And I'm gonna join the herd and say Runerigus. I like it as a ground and a ghost type, but I know Gen 8 has tons of ghost options. And for Gen 9, Clodsire just cannot lose. Clodsire is the best chance we have for world peace at this point. In second place, we have Great Tusk. Wow, that one absolutely blew Iron Treads out of the water. And in third, we have Blood Moon Ursaluna. Again, 1 write-in vote for Mega Zygarde by Wabucanth64. And as a more traditional loser, oh, would you look at that? It's Iron Treads. You do definitely miss the tusks, don't ya? I'm personally sad to have to pass over Toedscruel, but yeah. And Clodsire is also my overall favorite ground type, which is good because it's not yours. That goes to Gliscor by actually a pretty decent amount. I don't blame you too much for that though, Gliscor rocks. Then we have Crocodile in second place, Flygon, Zygarde, if you count the entire thing, Garchomp, Golurk, Excadrill, Clodsire, there you are buddy. Zygarde complete slots in here if you want to take that route, Wooper, and Gastrodon. Flying types, a category that I think gets less defined over time as we start moving out of HMs, meaning they go from a necessity to just kind of an option like any other. There's some really iconic stuff for Gen 1, it's like all dual typing though. I doubt it's Charizard. Oh, you know what, I bet it's Scyther. Ah, Gyarados, fair enough. You know what, there were so many this could be. Gyarados couldn't quite cut it in water, but it would be strange not to see it show up somewhere. Scyther does get second place, and yeah, these margins are tiny here. And then we have Aerodactyl in third. And no votes for yet another regional bird. Now, notably, we have all the legendary birds in here, but you need to go down fairly far to get to Zapdos at 8th place. I've already gone with Articuno, and I'm honestly a little lukewarm on these others, so I think it's gonna be Aerodactyl for me. I like fossils, I like dinosaurs. As I'm filling more of this out, I'm also realizing that I just kind of like purple Pokemon. Aerodactyl's got my back. Okay, Gen 2, more flying legendaries. And some other really big stuff too though. Crobat's definitely a front runner, but it was already so dominant elsewhere that I'm sure that must have siphoned votes away. Yeah, I think I'm gonna say Skarmory here. Yep, Skarmory it is. This thing's design, both in terms of playstyle and appearance, has just stood the test of time so well. There is great legendary rep this generation though, because in second place we have Lugia, and in third, Ho-Oh, so they do clean it up. We've got one right-in vote by Real Sonar S for Mega Skarmory, and just above that is Skiploom, another Pokemon I forgot about. This is another one where I like a lot of them. I like Noctowl, I like Togetic, Mantine's pretty fun. I feel like I'm one of the few Xatu fans in the world. It was on my Sapphire team. But you know what's always awesome? Phoenixes. Gen 3 has some flying dragons and a bunch of stuff that aren't dragons, so would you look at that? The top 3 are all dragons. Who could have guessed? Last place here goes to Tailo. Regional birds stay losing. I am going with Tropius this time though, because again, while I really wish it was a lot better, the design still absolutely rules. Gen 4. Well, this has to be Staraptor's time to shine, eh? Okay, another thing I'm learning as I go through this, you people really like Gliscor. It won the flying category and the ground category. Doesn't get much more all-encompassing than that. After that, we have Staraptor and then Honchkrow in third. I like that one too. Last place goes to Staravia, regional birds stay losing. And I really like Vespiquen. I like putting pollen on trees, I like the gimmick, I like the unique attacks. It's cool. Gen 5, I guess if you're repopulating the world, you always need a lot of new flying types. I'm not seeing anything that competes with Archeops here, especially considering it was an Aerodactyl replacement. There we go, yeah, Archeops is cool. Shame about that whole crippling ability thing, but visually it's nice. Sigilith comes in second, I wouldn't have called that. Rosa used to think it was an unknown evolution, and I kinda get where you're coming from. And then we have Braviary in third. At the bottom we have one vote for the UFO again by Hello There Doria, and one vote for Tranquil by Dylan. Regional birds stay losing. Still no genies in sight, and I'm not gonna be the one to do it. Yeah, it's Archeops. Okay, Gen 6, and for the record, these are all counted as one. The winner here is Noivern, a bat dragon, I love that. Even overtaking the box legendary for Y, who only gets around half the votes per second. And immediately below it is Talonflame. Mega Pidgeot's in the bottom slot this time around, which is, yeah, not the most inspired Mega in the world. And I could happily put Noivern in flying or dragon, but I'll do it here. Gen 7, and for the record, these are all counted as one, which actually puts Minior into first place. Alright, in second place we have Oricorio. If you count them together, I'm not sure that's fair. They're pretty separated. If you don't, it's Rowlet. And then potential third goes to Toucanon. No votes for Trumbeak. Regional birds stay losing. And I'm gonna go Toucanon. I appreciate them stepping outside their comfort zone a bit for the trope. Gen 8, I don't particularly respect Corviknight as a straight-up Skarmory do-over, but it's definitely gonna win. The devs were so smug when they made it. Of course, of course. In second place we have Cramorant. I've used some Cramorant, it's fun. And a dead split in third between Galarian Moltres and Galarian Zapdos. I'm gonna go Galarian Articuno here. If you're gonna mess with one of my favorites, you better do something interesting with it, and they really did. And last place goes to Gigantamax Charizard. Even as a hater, that does feel funny. And then Gen 9 has weirdly slim pickings, once again, counted as one. This one's a tough call in kind of the derogatory sense. I don't think there's like a blowout Pokemon here. I kind of want to say Flamigo. It was on my team. I really like it. A lot of people really like it, but I've also heard a lot of people don't. I feel like Iron Jugulus, Hugulus, whatever, is probably the safer bet. And okay, I've got my finger on the pulse for that one. First place goes to Iron Jugulus, and just barely below it, we have Flamigo. Third place goes to Kilowattrel, which is an awesome name if nothing else. Also sets Tailwind. The bottom slots are all right in Mega stuff, but if you get rid of that, the loser is Wattrel. Regional birds kind of stay losing. And because I actually used the thing, it's gonna be Flamigo. And I'm about to look at everyone's favorite flying types, and I don't have a lot of preconceptions heading in. Do I dare bet on Gliscor? Oh my god, it is Gliscor. Again, I like Gliscor. It's cool. I know it's been good competitively for a long time. It's a pretty unique typing. It's one of Ash's chosen Pokemon. Yeah. In second place, though, we have Noivern. That's cool. Then Corviknight, Staraptor, Rayquaza, Archeops, Yveltal, Rowlet, Altaria, and Honchkrow. Really surprised not to see Skarmory make the top 10. Maybe for Steel it will. For my pick, I think I'm going Noivern. I love dragons. I also love twists on dragons, and turning it into a bat, that is a hell of a twist. I've only ever used Noivern once in Ultra Sun, and I generally try not to repeat Pokemon too often throughout playthroughs. That's kind of a self-imposed rule. It's one of the few that always makes me hesitate on that rule though, because I really like it. Psychic type, which I think was originally intended to be kind of this mystical typing like dragons, not so much nowadays. You wanna bet they left an impression this generation though? I'm gonna say top 3 is Mewtwo, then Mew, and then Alakazam. Number 1 Mewtwo, number 2 Mew, Number 3, Alakazam. All pure psychic types too, that's gonna make the background easy. In last place, we have 1 vote for Execute by Evil Reuniclus walkthroughs. I'll take it over Jinx or Mr. Mime any day, personally. I'm gonna go Starmie though. It's definitely more of a water Pokemon, but this is my one chance. Absolutely nothing to do with its unhinged new Mega for the record, although I don't hate that. In Legends ZA, I finally got a chance to actually use Starmie on a team, something I've been wanting to do for a long time. I love this design. It's also really fun in that new real-time competitive format, by the way. You give it a bunch of beam attacks, equip it with Life Orb, and use it as a sniper. Gen 2 looks like it's got an enormous psychic roster, but of course, there's a bit of a catch. No catch with first place though. Espeon absolutely clean sweeps. I get the impression this is still one of the more popular evolutions. It's my girlfriend's all-time favorite Pokemon, and I've heard that sentiment a lot. I think some of that has to come from it being the most cat-like of any evolution, right? In second place, we're going in a very different direction with Wobbuffet. And then in third place, we have Lugia. Not the most intuitively psychic type on the planet, but again, at this point in the series, I think psychic was still supposed to be mystical. Case in point, the unknown. 0 votes for G, I, K, L, N, V, Y, or Z, which, fun fact, is an anagram for absolutely nothing. I checked. I know there are way heavier hitters here, but personally I still really like Xatu. Speaking of heavy hitters, Gen 3. So it's hard to go against Metagross unless it's facing down Gardevoir. Oh yeah, first place Gardevoir, and I would imagine this one would sweep some categories, but not here. Metagross is actually keeping up just fine. And after that we have the Deoxys forms, if you merge the votes for all of them together, and this is another case where I'm not sure that's actually fair to do, so depending on your mindset, Jirachi might take it instead. 0 votes for the exclamation mark unknown, and I agree, that one's lame as hell, although fun fact, the question mark version beats out Baltoy, Ralts, and Beldum. I always think I have a soft spot for Claydol because I love bulky ghosts, and then I remember that it's not actually a ghost type, it's Psychic Ground. I get it, I understand the concept, but it still looks ghosty to me. So instead, I think Latios. Gen 4 Psychic. This looks like a really easy Gallade. Massively outperforming Gardevoir, who I'm sure is still the overall more popular Pokemon, don't get me wrong, but also had a much rougher bracket. In second place, we have Bronzong, though, definitely harder to call after this, and in third, it's Cresselia. Last place here goes to Mesprit, losing out to Bronzor by a single point. Azelf got 3 times its score, I don't really know how that's decided. For me, I guess I would go Bronzong, because I've at least dabbled with it here and there, even if it's never stuck on any team as far as I can remember. I don't love this generation. Gen 5, whole lot of new psychic types. I think Victini's a reasonable guess, Reuniclus is a reasonable guess, but it's gotta be Meloetta again. Or not, never mind, Reuniclus wins by a lot. I'm totally on board with this one. This is one of my favorite Gen 5 designs. Checking to see if Evil Reuniclus walkthroughs was true to their name. Oh yeah, there they are. In second place, we have Victini, and in third, Meloetta Aria. Huh, that's actually quite a step down from normal. Then again though, Gen 5 does have some legitimately interesting psychic stuff. No votes for the UFO again, good job. Yeah, I'm going Reuniclus too. Holding yourself together with psychically controlled cytoplasm or something like that. Honestly, a really cool concept for a Pokemon. Gen 6. Well, everyone loves Malamar, and it did just get a new Mega Evolution. Oh, Meowstic. Because Cat? I have no clue. I'm happy for you, Cody, I really am. I wish I could see it myself. Not by too much though. Behind them is Malamar. Third place goes to Hoopa if you pull the votes of the forms. That's on the edge of what I'd be willing to accept. Maybe. If not, it goes to Delphox. At the very bottom, we have 1 write-in vote for the new Mega Malamar and 1 for Mega Delphox, and also 1 non-write-in vote for Mega Latios. But the thing is, are these not the exact same sprite? And considering the majority of you just sent me screenshots, I really don't know how to count these, and neither does the optical recognition software, obviously. The very bottom, totally unfuzzy one is Mega Mewtwo X, which scored less than half the vote of Mewtwo Y. I'm going Hoopa Unbound here though. This is one of my all-time favorite legendary designs, and I don't think I've ever even owned it. Gen 7, its whole core legendary line was built around psychic types. I'm gonna guess the winner is Lunala? Hey, there you go. Not by too much though. I was almost a coward and hedged my bets between it and Alolan Raichu, and Alolan Raichu is in second place by a very narrow margin. And third place goes to another legendary, but not the other box legendary, Tapu Lele this time around. Solgaleo's gonna have to settle for fourth. I think the steel typing on this one threw a lot of people off. And the very bottom pick was Powell Oricorio. Okay, so going through the list here, I'm really feeling Alolan Raichu, so what I'm gonna do is I'll put it in psychic, and then for electric, Yeah, I'm gonna go Zeraora. Gen 8, plenty more Psychic Legendaries, but nothing core this time. Where my bronies at, I guess? Okay, no, another Psychic Fairy type gets it. Hatterene, Hatterene, I don't know. It's a cool design, I like it. In second place, we have Orbeetle, and in third, Galarian Articuno. Not one horse or horse-esque thing in there, that's kind of surprising. And Galarian Mr. Mime loses again. Only losing by 1 vote to base form Calyrex though, which does look absolutely ridiculous without the horse. Looking at everything together, I think I'm gonna go Wordier. I love Legends Arceus, I love the role it plays in it, and I've always had a soft spot for Stantler. Gen 9, I feel like Ceruledge is definitely the more popular between it and Armarouge, but it still seems like the choice, maybe Farigiraf. No shock there, Armarouge in first, and Farigiraf in second. What really sealed Armarouge for me was seeing that animation where it turns its shoulder pads into a cannon. I already thought it was a cool design, now I think it's a clever one. And then in third place we have Screamtail because Jigglypuff. Beyond Right and Mega stuff, the loser this time around is Flittle. Yep, Team Armarouge all the way, there's nothing else even close here. And then for your all-time favorite Psychic types, we have a dead even split. 6.4% of the vote goes to Espeon and Reuniclus. Once again, I do have that Gen 5 blind spot, so I couldn't have called this, but I'm still happy with it. I love Reuniclus. Espeon was kind of a given. In third place, we have Mewtwo, definitely expected to see it high up. Then Metagross, Gardevoir, Gallade, Deoxys, if you merge them, which again, I'm not sure you should do, Hatterene, Meowstic, and if you want to count Deoxys separately, then Lunala and Victini both sneak in with a tie. And I think I gotta go Starmie this time around. I'm not sure if I necessarily would have said that before ZA, but I had so much fun using it. Okay, Bugs, your classic early game type. I'm gonna predict Scyther first, then Butterfree, then Beedrill. And we have first place Scyther, second place Beedrill, and third place Butterfree. Okay, you know what, I'll take it. The very last pick, or lack of pick, is Kakuna, which, yeah, even compared to Metapod, just has nothing going on. Zero doubt in my mind on this one, it's Beedrill. This is one of those designs that I think they just nailed so perfectly right away that I still compare modern Bugs to it. And they tend to come up short. Gen 2. Well, I mean, Scissor's in there, so yeah, okay, 48% of the vote. Even though we've got Shuckle in there, even though I'm sure it's also going to be a very popular Steel type, it's Scizor, you know what I mean? Second place goes to Heracross. Yeah, I would say another of the series' more iconic bug Pokemon overall. And in third, of course, Shuckle has to make an appearance. At the very bottom, we have Ladybug, and I'm going Ariados. Gen 3 may have been my first generation, and these may have been some of my first introductions to Pokemon. I still have no problem saying this bug lineup is rough. I feel like Shedinja has to be the one people remember here. It's legitimately one of, if not the most unique bugs ever made. Oh yeah, easy win. The shedded exoskeleton gets left in your party as a separate evolution from Ninjask. It's got 1 hit point, it's got Wonder Guard as an ability that protects it from everything but super effective damage. Really cool. In second place, we have Armaldo, one of the few fossils so far. In third, we have Ninjask. And understandably, people are not on board with the Cocoons. They weren't popular last time either, and that was only 2 generations ago. I think I'm going Armaldo. It's definitely not as interesting a concept as Shedinja, but like I said, I like fossil Pokemon, and I've always thought this one looks cool. If I remember right, I did use it in Sapphire too. Gen 4, there's some decent stuff here. Probably Vespiquen. Oh no, okay, in first place Yanmega, I'm fine with that. Definitely the coolest bug of this generation. In second place we do have Vespiquen, and then in third, Kricketune. And no one cares about Sandy Cloak Burmy. In fact, it's deeper than that. Even if you count this entire wretched evolution line with all its variants as a single entry, it still comes in last place. Well, I'm obviously not voting for them, and I've already used up my Vespiquen slot, so yeah, Yanmega it is. Gen 5 has some pretty fun bugs in it, actually. I have no clue what their relative popularities are. I'm gonna go Scolipede. First place, Volcarona. Okay, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. It looks cool as hell, it's powerful. In second place, we get Galvantula, and then third, Scolipede. Okay, I mean, I hit the top 3, but... Oh, no Genesect in top 3. It does make 4th place, though. And then 1 vote by Waterborne Art for Shelmet. Yeah, I think Genesect is really cool. I think they could definitely have gone a bit further with the shape-shifting concept, but still, a signature move that changes typing. I love that kind of stuff. Gen 6, one new line, a few megas, and a dream. Well, Vivian takes it. I don't know what else people had to work with. In second place, we have Mega Beedrill. Okay, that's a pretty cool mega. And in third, Spupa. Man, you people are desperate. Which is funny because Scatterbug is actually the bottom one below all the other megas. Then again, if I look at the mega lineup here, honestly, they did pretty good with the bugs. I don't give a crap about any of this stuff. This is just Butterfree 2 Electric Boogaloo. So I'm gonna go, I think Mega Pinsir. I do like Mega Beedrill too, but the thing is, Beedrill is already such a great design that I don't think you can really improve on it. Pinsir's cool too, but you know, there's a bit more room to work with, and giving it wings is a way bigger upgrade than anything they did to Beedrill. Gen 7. Okay, we've already seen a lot of these bugs pop up. Buzzwole. Ribombee? Okay, this one was not even on my radar. Man, the Venn diagram between those two fan bases is just gonna be a couple of circles. Now, it only beat Galissapod by a couple of votes, but still. And then in third place, we have Araquanid, so no Buzzwole. It actually doesn't make it in until fifth. It lost to Vikavolt too, and then one vote by Countess Momo for Dewpider. Well, I mean, if you're not gonna vote for Buzzwole, I will. This is one of those designs that's just so ridiculous and so over the top that you have to respect it. Gen 8. Okay, well surely this must be Cleavor, right? No, Centiskorch again. I had no idea people liked it this much. Honestly, also, Cleavor is kind of a downgrade. It does still take second place pretty convincingly, but... And in third, we have Snom. Not Frostmoth, Snom. And in last place, we've got a tie between Sizzlipede and Blipbug. Well, you know what? Worst Scizor is still good for me, and this was on my team. At least for a while. I think I benched it eventually. Gen 9. Now, normally I would guess Spidops, but I know a lot of people hate this thing for some reason. I'm gonna say Lokix. Okay, no, in first place we have Slitherwing, which I guess makes sense. Volcarona is just so ridiculously popular, but Lokix is immediately below that, and the two of these make up the bulk of the voting. Spidops does make third place, but with that much of a gap, it's not a great endorsement. And at the very bottom, we have Simtin's one write-in vote for Megascolipede, followed by Rellor above it. And then I love Lokix, another Pokemon where they folded some really cool biomechanics into it. Alright, your favorite bug types. In first place, we have Scizor. Incredible how well that design's held up, getting almost twice as many votes as second place, which is a tie between Ribombee, again I didn't see that coming, and Volcarona, which I did. Is it just because it's a fairy type? Like, I've talked about the cool versus cute dichotomy with Pokemon, which is a real thing I think does happen, and the cool vote is always split between a lot of different typings, but fairy seems to soak up a lot of the cute. After that, we have Galissapod, Slitherwing, Araquanid, Shedinja, Yanmega, Heracross, just barely in the top 10, that's kind of surprising, and Lokix. And while I like a lot of these, at the end of the day, Beedrill is just too good. I just wish it was stronger without needing a Mega. Like, I get it, it's an early game bug, they're supposed to suck, it's part of the single player progression, blah blah blah, screw the logic, just make my guy good. Rock type, definitely one of the odder categories overall. They do have consistency with fossils though. And yet we can see first place goes to Kabutops, beating out Aerodactyl by a single vote. And then third place goes to Rhydon, leaving poor Omanite and Omastar to scrap it out for fourth and fifth. At the very bottom we have Graveler, a very strange middle evolution. And I'm definitely going Kabutops. Gen 2, we have Tyranitar and we have Shuckle. Well, you really can't say no to Shuckle. Oh, okay, never mind, it's Tyranitar with over half the vote. Yeah, understandable, have a nice day. Shuckle does get second place, way down there. And then third place goes to Sudowoodo, a Pokemon I generally think very little of, which makes it all the funnier that I have one in a Master Ball. Did not realize I'd done that until I saved the game. Pupitar loses once again, and I'm going Shuckle, not just because it's funny, which it is, but also because I really do like this archetype of, you know, extreme utility and very polarized defensive stats. And while Shuckle's not the best in that category in terms of performance, it's definitely one of the best at demonstrating that playstyle. I'm actually just now realizing that Gen 2 doesn't have fossils, eh? Like I said, I've never played them before, but I hadn't put that together yet. They are brought back in Gen 3 though, along with some other cool stuff. Well, if I got Tyranitar wrong, then surely I should be opting for Aggron, right? Yep, okay, note to self, pick the Kaijus, 39%. In second place, we have Regirock, the legendary, okay. And then in third, we actually have Cradily. Lileep was actually the least popular one though. I'm debating whether I want to make Aggron my rock or steel type pick, because honestly, I often forget it even is a rock type. It really looks pure steel to me, but the steel slot's competitive and this one isn't. Gen 4, I feel like the fossils have to carry this one. Okay, we do have Rampardos in first place, one of the famously most offensive Pokemon ever made. Right below it though, we have Rhyperior, one of the most offensive Pokemon ever made. I truly, truly hate that the cool Rhyhorn line has to end in this thing now. And then in third, we have Bastiodon. Shieldon is at the bottom. Yeah, really not much going on there. And I like Bastiodon. I had Diamond and my brother had Pearl, and I remember being jealous about this one. Gen 5, Archeops sweep again? Oh no, it's actually Gigalith by quite a good amount. Yeah, okay, I get it, Gigalith's pretty cool. Archeops does pop back up for second place though, and then in third, I was really expecting Terrakion, but it's actually Crustle. I guess we need the comedy vote in there somewhere. I would think absolutely nothing about Crustle, except that it was my very first shiny I ever found. So I do have a bit of a soft spot for it. The last place here is Tortuga, which is really just a turtle, but even that one has at least a bit of a fan base. People like turtles. I guess I'm going Crustle because I've already used up Archeops and there's not much else here to tempt me off it. Gen 6, so this is an awesome fossil lineup, and I know Deontay's probably going to be popular. T-Rexes have been the play so far though. Oh, Tyrantrum just destroyed that one, wow. Deontay actually ended up being a way bigger deal than I thought too though. She takes second place, admittedly a distant second, but then the Mega Evolution actually makes top 3. That's a pretty exclusive club it's in. Aurorus only manages 4th here. Another vote for Mega Barbaracle at the bottom, followed up by Binacle again. Yeah, easy Tyrantrum. Rock Dragon type Tyrannosaurus, hell yeah, brother. Gen 7, this is a squirrely one. I feel like it has to be Lycanroc, and I am going to be splitting these votes up. They're very distinct forms. The Midnight form definitely stands out the most, but I know Lycanroc Dusk was one of Ash's Pokemon. Yeah, the power of anime and the power of dogs. No one stood a chance. In second place, we have Stakataka. Okay. And in third place, we have Lycanroc Midnight, the edgy vote. And Graveler's learning that you can run to the tropics, but you can't run from your problems. I'm not especially invested in any of these, so I'm gonna go Minior because they had fun with it. Gen 8, well this has to be Hisuian Arcanine's time to shine. Okay, yeah, maybe a bit less dominant than I expected, but the clear winner here. After that, we actually have a two-way tie split between the Gen 8 regions. There's Colossal, and it's the return of Kleavor. Gigantamax Dreadnaught's back at the bottom again, and because I've already used up my Arcanine pick, I'm gonna go regular Dreadnought. Gen 9, another interesting one. If the comedy vote didn't win Shuckle, it probably won't win Cloth. Maybe Iron Thorns, I never hear anyone reference it though. The new evolution lines are both really weird. Gargonicle definitely stands out the most though. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, it wasn't close at all, wow. I would imagine a lot of people hate this thing too, but being polarizing does work. After that we have Glamora, and then the comedy vote for Cloth. Ogerpon Cornerstone aspect is at the bottom here. Take that away, and it goes to Glimmet. For me, see a poison type, pick a poison type. And now your overall favorite rock types, and I'm not gonna make the same mistake again, I'm guessing Tyranitar. Oh, yep, there we go, Tyranitar in first place, another really classic design. Directly behind it though, we have Lycanroc Dusk, and there are a lot of Pokemon that look a lot like this. I don't really know what to say besides power of anime, power of dogs. Then we have Tyrantrum, sick, Aggron, Gigalith, Archeops, Diancie, Gargonicle, Crustle in the top 10, and Hisuian Arcanine. It is so close for me between Kabutops and Tyrantrum. I love both of these. The thing is, I've definitely used Kabutops more, but this is about as cool as you can make any T-Rex Pokemon ever look. And it's a dragon. Maybe I want it to be my favorite dragon. No. Yeah, it's Tyrantrum. Kind of feels like turning your back on an old friend. I've been calling Kabutops my favorite rock type since I was a kid, but I've used it, I've never found it especially remarkable, and Tyrantrum just rules. Okay, Ghost, which I think is one of the coolest types in the game, and off to a strong start in Gen 1 in terms of design more than numbers. Things fall in line basically exactly how you'd expect. First place Gengar by a lot, second place Haunter, and third place Ghastly barely in there at all. I actually kind of expected Haunter and Ghastly to be closer. Gengar was obviously going to sweep it. And I say that despite the fact that I'm definitely going Haunter here. I think it looks way cooler. Gen 2. Okay, Gen 3. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I expected this to be a relatively close race, and it is. The winner is Sableye, but not by that much over Shedinja. And then third place goes to Bannet, which wasn't too far over Dusclops or Duskull. Shuppet was the only real loser here, and it's not even that bad. For me, I really like bulky Eviolite Pokemon, and I think it's super cool that Dusclops still sees some use today because of that. Coming into Gen 4, I was feeling super confident about guessing Giratina, but there are some good ones here. Giratina does take it if you merge the forms together, which for this one, I think that's fair. In second place, we have Mismagius. In third place, we have Giratina Origin, if you do want to split them up, and after that is Dusknoir. Drifloon's at the bottom, but still with a reasonably healthy vote count, even among all these big guns. This was a fantastic generation for ghosts. And yeah, it's a tough call for me. I love a lot of these. I think I have to go Dusknoir, though. It's another Pokemon that I used in Legends Arceus, and I was really excited to finally get the chance. I love that entire evolution line. I love its moveset. Gen 5 also has some very cool ghost types in it. I mean, Chandelure does get half the vote again, what else could it be? But after that, still a pretty healthy serving for Golurk, and then Cofagrigus. Majin should not be here, but it did get 1 vote. I would still vote for Jellicent here, but I can't do that, so instead I'm gonna go Cofagrigus. It helps that I also love Ancient Egypt theming. Gen 6 has obviously got to be Aegislash, right? Yeah, if you put both forms together, which I'm gonna do, they absolutely clean house. Even if you split them, Aegislash Shield still takes first place. After that, we have the duo of Trevenant and Gourgeist. I thought Hoopa might slip into third place, but it's actually not that popular, second lowest. Still beat out Honedge though. I think I need to put a Mega Evolution here though, because Mega Bannet might be my overall favorite Mega Pokemon. This is one of the few that I think does nothing but enhance the base version of the Pokemon. Honestly, it could probably have just been a final evolution stage. That concept of the malevolent energy building up so much that it finally comes spilling out of the cloth is just so well done, so conceptually cool. The entire Pokemon just looks amazing. Yeah, I like Aegislash, but I have to give credit here. Gen 7, it's Mimikyu. Yep, it's Mimikyu. I didn't think too much of it when I first saw it. It's really grown on me over the years though. In second place, we have Decidueye, and in third, Alolan Marowak. I thought third might be Lunala, but this is still probably the lineup I would have guessed on. I've already used up Marowak, so I guess I'm going Mimikyu. Okay, Gen 8, that's a whole lot of ghosts. I would guess Dragapult has to clean house, but we already know how ridiculously popular Hisuian Zoroark is. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Dragapult first place with 1/4 of the vote, and not too far behind it, Hisuian Zoroark. And then third place actually goes to Cursola. I definitely could not have told you that one. At the very bottom, we have Galarian Yamask. Dragapult's another one that's really had to grow on me over time. Now, if I had free reign here, I would still probably choose Runerigus, but I'm gonna stick to my system, so Dragapult it is. Gen 9, okay, another really good one for Ghosts. It's gotta be Ceruledge. Yep, there's some great choices here, but it still gets a full 1/4 of the vote again. In second place, we have Annihilate, and in third, Skeledirge. That's probably exactly the lineup I would have guessed. Goldango and Fluttermane are both extremely popular competitive Pokemon, but I'm finding that's not nearly enough to put you high up on this list, and they are still in 4th and 5th place. One write-in vote by Colby Torrey for Mega Frostlass, and right above that, it's Poltergeist. I really thought it would be Bramblin, but that got 3 times as many votes. Well, I can't do Skeledirge again, so this is probably where I put Ceruledge. I do really like Pesharunt though. Again, See a Poison, Pick a Poison, and I also like Confusion as a status. And I really like Fluttermane. This is tough. I actually think I'm going Fluttermane here. I've always liked Misdreavus and wanted it to be better. Evolution is cool, but Fluttermane achieves that pretty well, and also still feels like you're actually playing Misdreavus. It's a Paradox form that doesn't feel redundant, but still honors the legacy of the original very well. And yes, some people would say it makes Misdreavus a little too better, but whatever, I'll generally take Overtuned ahead of Undertuned. Overall favorite ghosts, I'm gonna guess Mimikyu. Ah, it's Chandelure again. Never bet against Chandelure. Mimikyu does come in second place though. After that we have Aegislash, Golurk, which still continues to surprise me, Mismagius, another one I wasn't expecting so high up, Giratina, then Gengar. I really thought that'd be top 3. Dragapult, another one I thought might be top 3, Hisuian Zoroark, and Ceruledge. And Ghost is one of my favorite typings, so this is a really tough call for me, but I think I gotta go Mega Bannet. I also really didn't expect to be picking a Mega Evolution for any of these, but my god, it's so good. The Dragon type, another super popular one. Considering they only had one shot at it for Gen 1 though, it ended in an interesting spot. Not necessarily bad, just interesting. Like, Dragonite still won, but not by nearly as big a margin as you might expect. A lot of people to this day are still upset about the whole going from these majestic, mysterious looking serpents to so when you take the votes for Dragonair and Dratini together, they actually pool up to not far under the final stage. And then we also do have one write-in vote for Mega Dragonite. Also what I understand to be a really divisive Mega Evolution, but I like it. Dragonite's already a huggable goofball. I don't see how making it more huggable and more goofy hurts it in any way. I'm still gonna go with the original though. The modern way that you use it, where you like terrestrialize it to normal and then just spam extreme speed at people, is also pretty fun. Okay, Gen 2. Well, Gen 3, we've got a lot going on here. Tough call between Rayquaza and Salamence for the top slot. I'm gonna guess Salamence. Oh, okay, Flygon jump scare again. I wasn't familiar with your game. Second place goes to Rayquaza. Okay, what am I doing? And then Salamence does sneak into third. At the very bottom, we have Bagon, with Shelgon not too far behind. I'm kind of surprised that either of those lost to Vibrava. My favorite of any of these is actually Altaria, though. Like I said, I love twists on dragons and hybrid dragons, so this bird cloud design here is really cool. And I also love alternate pick you apart kind of playstyles. That's why I love poison typings. It's why I love life leech style moves. And it's also why when I first discovered Perish Song in Gen 3, I thought it was the single coolest move on the planet. And I actually still kind of think it is.
MockRock.
Gen 4, I know people love Giratina, but it's gotta be Garchomp. Oh yeah, Garchomp by a lot. That famously brutal Cynthia fight has to contribute a lot to this, no doubt there, but also at the same time, come on, it's a shark dragon that swims through the earth? How are you not gonna love that? In second place, we do, of course, have Giratina, again, if you merge the forms together. But now the big question, Dialga or Palkia? Hey, it's Dialga, that's my guy. 15.6% for third place compared to 8.1 for fourth. You'll love to see it. And we've got Gabite at the bottom, which just kind of looks like Teemu Garchomp. I gotta go Dialga for this one. Gen 5, well, Haxorus is one of the coolest looking dragons ever, so I'm assuming just on the back of that. Oh, look at that, we have a straight up tie. Haxorus is up there, yes, and also Hydreigon, which would have been my second place guess, so fair enough. And then in third, we have Reshiram, which beats out Zekrom by exactly 1%. Kyurem White is actually the bottom pick. That's interesting. I guess, again, people are really reluctant to pick alternate forms. And yeah, of course I'm going Haxorus. It's one of the coolest looking dragons of all time. Gen 6 has some amazing stuff in it, the best of which I've sadly already used. I guess a lot of people have the same thoughts because Goodra actually takes this one. Again, it's one of Ash's chosen ones, so probably could have guessed that. And after that we have Noivern and then Tyrantrum. Megalodios and Megaladius are at the bottom with 1 vote each. Which one's for which, I couldn't tell you. This is where I guess I'm putting Dragalge. I do like it. Gen 7. Based on the trend of people leaning away from legendaries a bit more, I'm gonna guess Como. Okay, there we go. This is a very competitive category though. In second place, we have Alolan Executor, so you can understand where the mindset split the votes. And then Drampa in third place. The bottom one was Hakamao. Well, I've already used up Komao, I've already used up Naganadel. You're maybe my least favorite Pokemon of all time. Yu-Gi-Oh looking ass. And as funny as Alolan Executor is, I can't pretend to love it. I guess Zygarde? Gen 8, things are getting weird. The winner here is understandably Dragapult, pretty firmly this time around. And then in second place, we have Appleton, and in third, it's Gigantamax Appleton loses again. I wouldn't have hated seeing these origin forms down there though, especially you. I truly despise you. I like Dialga more than Palkia, but I like Palkia. What did they do to you? Is this where I pick Eternatus? Because the thing is, I did somewhat reluctantly end up using it for part of the Shield DLC. It was kind of a, you know, broaden your horizons, try new things deal. And I did come around on it to some extent. It's still a long way from my favorite dragon type, but oh, hang on, Regidrago's right here. What am I yapping about? Lots of prominent new dragons in Gen 9. I'm gonna say probably Miraidon again. Hydrapple? Seriously? I don't understand you people sometimes. Okay, well, in second place, we have Koraidon this time, and in third, we have Miraidon. Koraidon wins by 2 votes. And at the bottom, barring right in Megas, it's Frigibax once again. Yeah, I like a lot of the Paradox stuff here. I like Walking Wake, I like Gouging Fire, I like Roaring Moon. I'm not sure I like a single one of them more than their original forms, though. And Koraidon and Miraidon are such good legendaries, some of the best, if not the best box legendaries that we've ever gotten. They're used so well in the games. And I played Scarlet. And for everyone's favorite dragon, I truly have no idea. I'm just gonna say Flygon, screw it. Okay, not quite, it's Garchomp. Yeah, that makes sense. In second place, we have Hydreigon. I am a little taken off guard by that. In third, Goodra, the power of anime. Dragapult, absolutely. Flygon, there you are. Haxorus, Giratina, Noivern, Dracovish, and Dragonite. No Rayquaza, it's stuck at number 11. And my favorite dragon of all time is Altaria, because Perish Song. I do really wish it was Dragon Fairy though. Like, I know its Mega Evolution is, but this is one that could definitely get away with it in the base form. And then we're at Dark type, our first new type of the video. Obviously not a type Gen 1 was built around, which is why it looks like this. The Substitute Doll won, Classic Missing No came in second, and some Right and stuff lost. Moving on. Gen 2, where the dark types actually began, and literally every single one of these hits. Evolutions are always a safe pick though. Case in point, Umbreon with almost half the vote, even against stuff like Tyranitar and Houndoom. And Sneasel, this is a good dark generation. Second place is Tyranitar. Third place Houndoom, and last place Houndour. It is a little interesting that it's that insanely low. I guess there's just not much of a reason to vote for it over the evolved version. It's not like it's way cuter, they have a very similar vibe. Well, I picked Houndoom, so Umbreon. My list has actually been kind of light on evolution so far. I really like Umbreon though, and it's cool that it's a tank, even if you wouldn't really know that by looking at it. Gen 3, this is the freest Absol of my life. Oh yeah, almost as big as Umbreon. Second place goes to Crawdaunt, and third Sableye, a Pokemon that I always forget isn't a rock type. The Mega Evolutions really skewed me on that. At the very bottom we have one augmented vote for Galarian Lanoon, and above that Carvana. I actually do like Carvana, but Sharpedo is way cooler. So cool in fact that now that Kyogre's not in the picture, there you go. It was on my Sapphire team, and because of the way the sprites are drawn in that game, I never actually realized that it was missing its back half until many years later. I thought it was just a shark, but it was a torpedo this whole time. Oh. There's actually a lot of cool stuff in Gen 4, but I think Darkrai has to be the front runner. Hold on, wait, is it not a ghost? No, all right, it's pure dark type. It's also the winner. I can see why. I love the concept of a super sleep-based Pokemon. In theory, in practice, this often ended up being kind of toxic. In second place, we have Weavile, and third goes to Honchkrow. Get back down there, Stunky. Tough choice for me between Weavile and Drapion. I would probably have to cave and say Weavile, though. I can't have Sneasler on there without better Sneasler. Oh, Gen 5's got some pretty good darks too. Crocodile and Hisuian Zoroark got the jump on me earlier. I'm gonna say Zoroark. Yeah, disguising yourself as another Pokemon is such a cool mechanic, and this is the emo vote to end all emo votes. I know I got some of you in here. In second place we have Crocodile, it didn't get me this time. And in third we have Bisharp. I was sure Hydreigon would make it, fourth it is. And the last two picks are this guy and this guy. I definitely prefer the look of Hydreigon, but Zoroark's way more fun. Yeah, okay. Now, what dark types do we have for Gen 6? Oh, okay, Greninja still takes it, but by a much more reasonable margin this time. In second place, we have Yveltal. I guess this is where everyone's votes went who liked it. And in third, Malamar again. And at the very bottom, we have Mega Sharpedo. And yeah, among the many Mega Evolutions here, I think this definitely contributes the least of them. At least as far as looks go. I know it can do some fun stuff gameplay-wise, but that has not been the main priority for this list. I'm also in the camp that thinks the majority of Mega Evolutions look worse than their base forms, but at least I can see how people with different tastes would prefer them. Mega Sharpedo really is just kind of Sharpedo again. I'm gonna go Yveltal here. It's a cool legendary, and I've never been super invested in Greninja. Gen 7, oh, would you look at that, more Greninja. Oh, would you look at that, Incineroar, hello. Okay, yeah, there it is. In second place, though, we actually have Alolan Muck. And in third, we have Guzzlord. I guess Ash Greninja's just not making the cut, interesting. Last place goes to Alolan Grimer, still can't save that. I definitely think it should have been Alolan Persian for the record, but I'll take Solus in second worst. This is where I'm gonna put the Incineroar slot. Now, your favorite Pokemon can be for any reason whatsoever. I had people choosing their favorites because of childhood memories, because they were on their team, because they liked them competitively, because they're cute, because they like the adaptation of the real animal. I'm going Incineroar here because I like using it in Smash. This has basically nothing to do with Pokemon whatsoever, but hey, no rules. Gen 8. Obstagoon here, yeah? Oh no, Grimmsnarl. No, you know what? That makes sense. Dark Fairy is a really cool typing. It's very thematic to the region. It's got a cool playstyle as your screen setter, cool animations. Totally valid. Obstagoon does come in second place. And in third, we have Hisuian Samurott. I thought it would be Galarian Moltres, but just a little bit below it. And still really no single strike G-Max or Urshifu. Yeah, I've done Obstagoon, so that's definitely Grimmsnarl. And then Gen 9, oh, there's some big ones here. We've got a starter, we've got a whole line of legendaries, and we've got a competitive staple, and a big story Pokemon. And in first place, we have what's functionally a tie. Kingambit takes it with 20.5% of the vote, and then Meowscarada gets 20.4%. In third place, though, we have Chi-Yu. That's kind of interesting. I really thought Shenpao would be the fan favorite here. It actually only gets 6. Roaring Moon and Lokix beat it out, too. And at the bottom, we have 2 write-in votes for Mega Malamar. After that is Maschiff. Mabostiff didn't do as well as I was expecting either, and this one is not a story Pokemon, and if anything, is less cute than its evolution. That doesn't happen with many dogs. I'm gonna be loyal to Mabostiff though. It actually ended up on my team. And everyone's favorite dark type. I'm guessing Umbreon still hasn't been overtaken. Oh, well, I was technically right. Umbreon is in the top slot, with a dead even tie against Darkrai. I knew Darkrai was popular, I didn't realize it had that much oomph though. In third place we have Absol, I did know that was coming. Fourth place goes to Crocodile, then we have Hydreigon, Incineroar, Meowscarada, Zoroark, Greninja, and Weavile. And I really like essentially all of these for a bunch of different reasons. It's not just an Incineroar thing. Using a dog in your storyline's a cheap hack, but it was effective. I think nowadays though, if you ask me which one do I want on a team, my first thought is actually Grimmsnarl. There is simply nothing about it that doesn't click with me. It looks cool, I like how it plays, I think the fundamental concept is great. That's gotta be the one. Steel. Gen 1 actually does have some proper steel types. Not many of them, but they're there. Magneton is understandably way more popular than Magnemite though, getting about 2/3 of the vote, which got messed up a little bit because Evil Reuniclus Walkthroughs is back to write in Alolan Sandslash, which I guess is fair? Yeah, Magneton. Gen 2, these guys are really hard to guess, but if I have to, probably Scizor. Oh, okay, yeah, and by a lot too, more than I was expecting. Skarmory does swoop in for second place, of course, and then it goes Steelix in third, winding down with Fortress. Although Fortress's rep isn't even that bad. What is bad is the one vote for Mega Skarmory. For me, I do really like Scizor, but I actually like Scyther more, whereas nothing competes against Skarmory for me, certainly not Corviknight. Gen 3, okay, now we're actually getting into it. It's very tight between Metagross and Mile for me. I can't go against Metagross. And yeah, okay, Metagross takes first place, but then we actually have Aggron in second. Mile doesn't make it in until third, although it is also a fairy type, which Gen 3 doesn't have a ton of, so maybe that's where the votes went. Wait, Gen 3 has Gardevoir though. In any case, last place goes to Beldum. Although considering Metagross is just a bunch of Beldums stuck together, does that not count as voting for Beldum a bunch of times? Up until a couple weeks ago, this would definitely have gone to Registeel for me. Nowadays though, I am gonna give it to Metagross because in ZA, the final version of my team ended up with a lead Metagross who used Screens and Normal Gem and Explosion. I've never gone with a Kamikaze lead in a single player playthrough before, and it was so much fun. In fact, that's probably the most thought I've given to any single player Pokemon I've made. I usually really consciously try to avoid even like looking at natures and stuff like that. This time around, I was researching movesets to see who could pull that off. Gen 4, this would be a tough call. We've got a starter, we've got a legendary, but oh, Lucario's here. And okay, yeah, it wins by far, far less than it ever did in fighting though. In second place, we have Magnezone, only 1.5% behind it, and Empoleon comes in third, still honestly not too far behind. And at the very bottom, we have Wormadam Trash Cloak. The name kind of speaks for itself, doesn't it? Is this where I cash in my Lucario in Smash slot? Like, I did play him in Smash 4 for a while. Okay, welcome aboard. Gen 5 has some pretty good stuff too. The winner is gonna go to Excadrill though, very reasonable. Then we have Bisharp in second place and Ferrothorn in third. And nobody voted for you. Okay, we're gonna do a bit of a switcheroo here. Golurk is gonna go in the ground slot so I can choose Excadrill for Steel. Gen 6 only has the Aegislash line and Klefki and Mega, so Aegislash it is. Yeah, same story as before, it wins whether or not you merge the forms together. In second place we have Klefki, fair enough. And in third we have Mega Mile. Not shocked to see a Mega in this slot, and this is definitely the one. And in last place we have Mega Scizor. Yeah, also not shocking, I never hear about this one. I think I'm gonna go Mega Mile. This is my other contender for best Mega Evolution alongside Bannet. Except this one I think would be even more appropriate as an actual proper evolution stage. Mile also ended up on my ZA team, which I wasn't really expecting, and Mega Mile turned out to be the star of the show, like my absolute MVP Pokemon. I'd never used it before, I didn't know what I was missing. Gen 7. This has to be Slogoleo's day, yeah? Okay, yeah, it wins, but for a box legendary, it's not doing that great. Kartana comes in second, just below it, and even less than that is Melmetal in third. And we've got Alolan Diglett all the way down at the bottom, buried just like it likes. I think I'm actually gonna go Magearna here. Another Steel Fairy, I love that typing. I've got a soft spot for artificial Pokemon. I think Soul Heart, which raises its special attack every time any other Pokemon faints, is a super cool ability. I actually way prefer the look of the Pokeball version, but I don't own one, whereas the base form is one of my Raiders in Scarlet, so I'll give it that. Gen 8 Steel, I kind of want to say Zacian, but the bets really are strongly against legendaries. Probably Corviknight. Okay, yeah, no legendaries in the top 3. Corviknight takes it very cleanly. And then we have Hisuian Goodra in second place. Dragon Steel, that's a cool typing. And then Berserker. Hell yeah, I love Berserker. Get in there. God, talk about a redemption arc. And at the very bottom, we have a two-way tie between Gigantamax Duraludon and Gigantamax Copperajah. Gen 9, I'm gonna guess it goes to the funny thing with the giant hammer. Oh yes. Yes it does. Now, Tinkaton's a fairly obvious design concept, but the execution is still very good. I love how it's a scrapper that starts out as a baby with a rattle and then it just starts adding more and more crap to it. In second place we have King Gambit, pretty reasonable, and third we have Goldango. And at the bottom, barring one write-in vote for Mega Skarmory again, we have Tinkatuff and Tinkatink. Tinkaton just siphoned off all the votes for that line. Yeah, I've got to go Tinkaton here. This was on my Scarlet team too. And then everyone's overall favorite steel type. It's a toss-up for me between Lucario and Scizor. I don't think you can ever bet against Lucario though, right? Oh, hold on, it's Tinkaton by a lot. I guess cute character with giant weapon really is a winning formula. Second place does go to Scizor, okay. But no third for Lucario, that actually goes to Aegislash. And then we have Aggron, and then Lucario. I guess a lot of people think of it as more of a fighting type. Then we have Metagross, Mile, Magnezone, Bisharp, and Excadrill. No Skarmory either, interesting. That one does read very steely to me. Very upset to see Corviknight beat it out in 12th place though. Well, it's okay Skarmory, I'll hold down the fort for you. Not only is it an amazing design, not only is it a cool type combo, but I'm also a big fan of these ultra defensive hazard setting leads. And Skarmory was the pristine example of that for a very long time and can still do it well. And then we just have Fairy, the video's last real typing before we throw in some bonus stuff at the end. This is a very tight race for Gen 1. I think if the Smash audience ever comes through though, it's probably gonna be here. Yeah, Jigglypuff does win, but Clefable is directly behind it. I actually do think the Smash crowd was the tipping point there. And then we have Clefairy in third place. One write-in vote for Galarian Rapidash at the bottom, but the proper one is Mr. Mime. Exactly where he deserves. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna go Jigglypuff. Gen 2 actually ended up with a lot of them. I suspect Azumarill's gonna crush this. Yeah, almost half the vote. It was always gonna be popular, and then Game Freak decided to go and just slap huge power onto it. Okay, second place goes to Togepi. Very cutesy, and it was in the show. I have never once in my entire life retained the information that this is not a Gen 1 Pokemon. This is probably my 4th or 5th time relearning that it's from Johto, and it won't be my last. And I can't believe it, in third place we have a 3-way tie. Have we seen that yet? Granbull, Marill, and Togetic all go together here, and then Snubble's all the way down at the bottom. I kind of like Snubble. I like Togetic a lot more, and this is close for me. I think ultimately I do need to join the herd though. Honestly, if Togetic didn't evolve again, I would probably pick it, but I don't really find myself clicking with middle evolutions most of the time. It just feels like a bit of an incomplete vote for me. If I'm gonna do it, the middle evolution needs to be absolutely insane, or the final evolution needs to be real trash. Gen 3, well, Gardevoir's on the list. Okay, yeah, that's about what I expected. Mile comes in second place, and far below that we have Azurill, then Ralts, then Kirlia all the way at the bottom. Well, if Mega Mile was my MVP and ZA uses real-time meters for Mega Evolution, then that means non-Mega Mile also spent an awful lot of time being my MVP. Gen 4, wanna guess which one of these won? Woohoo, Togekiss with 92% of the vote, good for it. Mime Jr. with 7.9, wait, 7.9. Evil Reuniclus walkthroughs, get out of here. Alright, Gen 5. Oh, come on! Whimsicott wins by even more. Yeah, sure. Gen 6 looks a lot more expansive than it actually is. This is the generation that introduced the fairy type, so you know there's gonna be an evolution for it. Also actually makes me realize it's kind of funny that there's no steel type evolution yet. Xerneas takes second place, and yeah, it's a pretty cool legendary. And then third goes to Florges, although shout out to Eternal Flower Float for getting fourth place. It's not often we see a really weird form up that high. Mega Meganium gets one write-in vote, and after that it's Swirlix. I would still choose it over the weird Plague Doctor things, but yeah, this is a bit of a nothing Pokemon. I'm looking for anything that remotely moves the needle away from Sylveon for me, and I'm just not seeing it. I do really wish we had Dragon Fairy Altaria, but this is not the answer I was looking for. Alright, Sylveon it is. Gen 7, yeah, of course it goes to Mimikyu. After that we have Primarina, and Ribombee. Did Ribombee seriously beat out Alola, Ninetales, and all of that legendary line? I guess so. I really don't know what's going on there, especially when its predecessor, Cutiefly, is in a distant last place. It got less than half the votes of specifically the busted sprite of Mimikyu. Well, already picked you. And you, and you, and you. So I guess it's gonna be Tapu Fini. I don't really care about the Tapus all that much, honestly. Nah, you know what, that's stupid here. We're gonna take Mimikyu out of Ghost, and we're gonna throw it over here, and then we're gonna drop in Blacephalon. Gen 8, I'm gonna guess the top two are Hatterene and Grimmsnarl. Okay, so Hatterene does get first place, but second actually goes to Alcremie. It's very cutesy, and it's one that has a palette swap gimmick. Okay, I can see that one. Grimmsnarl does come in third place, though, still a few percentage points above Zacian. And Gigantamax Grimmsnarl can claim victory over our loser Gigantamax Hatterene. That's just as good, right? It won by 2 votes. I think I'm gonna go Galarian Weezing here because it's funny and Neutralizing Gas is funny. And then it's just Gen 9 and, ooh, Battle of the Titans here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and guess the cuter thing with the bigger weapon. There it is, but these were the top 2, obviously. And this time around, Fluttermane gets at least a bit of time to shine in third, with the other Tinkas still bringing up the rear. I'm still feeling Fluttermane in this slot though, so okay, we're gonna do another switcheroo. Ceruledge gets Ghost, and you can go here. And then everyone's favorite fairy-type Pokemon. It's a tough call here. I'm gonna guess maybe Mimikyu or Sylveon. Oh, okay, let's commit to Mimikyu. Wait, it's Gardevoir. Oh, I forgot Gardevoir's a thing. God damn it. Okay, it makes me feel better that I was still very wrong. Second place goes to Tinkaton right behind it. And then we have Iron Valiant and Mimikyu in fourth place. Okay, Sylveon goes fifth. And then it's Alola Ninetales, Togekiss after that. That's a curveball for me. Clefable, Primarina, and Azumarill. And my favorite fairy type, as of now, is Mawile. I really like it when it happens organically through gameplay like that. Before ZA, I'm not even sure it would have gotten one slot. And then we're mostly just left with some kind of bonusy stuff. Now, because the Pokemon are all redundant from this point forward, I think we're gonna speedrun some of these categories. Gen 1 starter, in first place we have Bulbasaur, that's kind of interesting. Then Blastoise, then Charizard. Cool to see the entire triangle represented. I can now remove the duplicate rule, and I'm going Charmeleon, who got last place. You all suck. Gen 2, we have Feraligatr, into Typhlosion, into Totodile. I'm going Typhlosion. Gen 3, Mudkip, really? Then Swampert, then Blaziken. Easy Sceptile for me. Gen 4, it goes Torterra, then Infernape, then Empoleon. Nice, clean final starters. Yeah, Torterra it is. Gen 5, we have Serperior, then Oshawott, then Samurott. Samurott. Gen 6, Greninja, duh. Then Delphox, then Chestnut, another nice trio. I think Delphox. Gen 7, we have Decidueye, then Primarina, then Incineroar. Kinda surprised to see Incineroar in third, but again, a nice trio. Decidueye for sure. In Generation 8, we have Hisuian Typhlosion, then Hisuian Samurott, and then Cinderace among the Galarians. I think I'm choosing Scorbunny for this one, honestly. I was pretty up on the starter, and the evolution line left me a bit cold. Gen 9, we have Skeledirge at the top where it belongs, then Meowscarada, then Fuecoco. Hell yeah, Skeledirge. And the overall pick for favorite starter of any Pokemon in the game, I'm gonna guess Greninja. Oh, it's Primarina. This thing has consistently wildly outperformed my expectations. Now, even with a 1,000-person sample size, the votes are obviously very close here, but I'm not sure I would have called it in the top 10 necessarily. And checking in during editing, I found it a little funny that Primarina didn't win its own generation starter vote, but did win the overall starter vote, so I went back and checked everything by hand, and yeah, the software worked perfectly fine. I don't know what logic people were following here. Then we have Torterra, Mudkip, Decidueye, Greninja, Incineroar, Meowscarada, Infernape, Serperior, and Blaziken. Sceptile only managed 11th, but still first in my heart. God, it's close between it and Skeledirge, though. Gimmick forms. For Gen 1, that means Mega Evolution and Gigantamax stuff. First place goes to Mega Beedrill. Okay, I can see that one. And then Mega Charizard X, the Pokemon that was clearly supposed to be the favorite. And then Mega Gengar. Fun bonus fact among the bonus facts, the highest rated Gigantamax got 3% of the vote. I'm going Mega Gengar here. Gen 2 gimmicks, Mega Ampharos runs away with it, then Mega Scizor, then Mega Steelix. I'm going Mega Houndoom because I've been backed into a corner. Gen 3, the winner is Mega Mawile, then Mega Rayquaza, and then Mega Absol. My two favorite Megas in the same generation, eh? I think when push comes to shove though, Mega Mawile is just the best overall design, and I have experience using it. Gen 4, the winner is Mega Gallade, then Mega Lopunny, which is directly tied with Mega Lucario. I'm gonna do a write-in for Mega Frostlass here, so I'll leave it blank. For Gen 5, the winner is Mega Audino, I'm guessing because that's the only Mega from this generation people could choose. In second place, you have Gigantamax Garbodor, and that's it. That's the end of the real options. Third place is literally a pair of legs. At least Gigantamax Garbodor has an idea. Gen 6. Oh god, here we go. Out of all of these, the winner goes to Mega Dionsei. I think it got a movie, didn't it? And then Mega Mile in second place, and Mega Rayquaza in third. Oh, now I get to choose Mega Bannet. Sick. Yes, I know that's a bit inconsistent, but shut up, I want them both. Gen 7, we are now counting regional forms too. And they sweep it up. In first place, we have Alolan Ninetales, then Alolan Marowak, then Alolan Raichu. This decision right here really hurts, but yeah, I like Aurora Veil too much. Gen 8, it's a Hisui sweep. First place goes to Hisui and Zoroark, second to Hisui and Samurott, I still don't really get that one, and third to Hisui and Typhlosion. Bonus within the bonus, the highest rated Gigantamax got 3% of the vote. I would probably say Hisui and Arcanine here. And for Gen 9, the Convergent Evolution generation, choice number 1 in dominant fashion goes to Paldean Wooper, presumably as a stand-in for Clodsire, who's not on the list. I know it's not technically a gimmick form, but it still kind of feels like it should be here, doesn't it? In any case, second place goes to Toedscruel, and then third, Paldean Tauros, if you merge it together. I'm going Sinistcha. It was on my team and I loved having it. And then the number 1 gimmick Pokemon in the entire series, I'm guessing Mega Mile. Oh, you know what? Okay, it's actually Mega Beedrill. Mega Mile is in second place, then Mega Rayquaza, Mega Gallade, Hisui and Zoroark, Mega Absol, Mega Bannet, Alolan Ninetales, Mega Charizard X, and Alolan Raichu. And I'm going Alolan Ninetales because I like Aurora Veil too much. Legendaries, it's a pretty humble list for Gen 1. The winner here by a landslide is Mewtwo, and then Mew, Zapdos, Articuno, Moltres. Articuno is actually still the only one of these I've picked. For Gen 2, we have the box legendaries Lugia and Ho-Oh, and then Suicune next up. I've got to go with Ho-Oh here. Gen 3 is where the list starts getting a bit less humble. In first place, we have Rayquaza. In second place, Deoxys, if you merge them. If not, it goes to Kyogre. And then arguable third to Jirachi. Personally, I would give it to it. Well, Kyogre's an easy one here. For Gen 4, it's Giratina, then Darkrai, then Giratina Origin, so then Regigigas, and Dialga, welcome to the box legendary squad. For Gen 5, it's Meloetta. Whether you merge them or not, that basically all comes from Aria form. Then we have Zekrom and Victini. Reshiram loses the box battle at fourth. Yep, Team Meloetta. Gen 6 is just alphabet soup. First place Yveltal, second place Xerneas, third place Zygarde. I'm going Hoopon bound here. For Gen 7, we have Lunala absolutely crushing it. Then we have Marshadow in second place, and Solgaleo with less than half Lunala's votes. I guess these are legendaries. I've honestly never even really thought of them like that. In any case, I think I'm going Magearna. Getting actual consistent use out of it makes a big difference for me. In Gen 8, Zacian takes the top slot, no huge surprise there, with Zamazenta below it, okay, cool. And then third place goes to Galarian Zapdos, which is by far my least favorite of the three, but it is certainly the most distinctive among them, so I guess I see the appeal. That's a free Zamazenta. And then Gen 9 is Koraidon's redemption for the fighting slot. It gets first place definitively here. Miraidon is also in the top 3, and depending on how you want to split Ogerpon, as a bundle it either takes second place, or if you count each form separately, it goes Koraidon, Miraidon, then Chiyu. Am I missing a joke or something? It feels like it shouldn't be this high consistently. Do people just like fish? It hasn't seemed like that throughout the rest of the list. Do people just like legendary fish? Yeah, for me, Koraidon. Box legendaries are really well done this time. And then YouTube's favorite legendary of all time, I'm gonna guess Mewtwo. It's Meloetta. More popular than every other legendary, is she? In second place, we have Giratina, then Lunala, Ogerpon counted as 1, Rayquaza, Koraidon, way ahead of Miraidon. There's Mewtwo, Victini, Regigigas, and a big ol' 10th place tie between Darkrai, Lugia, and Yveltal. Also a really weird quirk at this website, you cannot vote for any of the new legendary Paradox forms, so no Walking Wake, no Iron Leaves. That seems like an oversight, but this is the list we're using. And for me, I came in fully expecting to be clicking on Kyogre, makes sense, right? But I just can't bring myself not to choose Articuno. It just scratches this itch for me that no other legendary manages to. It's such an elegant design. I love ice attacks too. Ice is another of my favorite typings, and this represents it really well. And we're in the home stretch. Now all that's left is the single most popular Pokemon from every generation and the single most popular Pokemon, period. We'll handle this last column a bit differently. In Generation 1, counting down from 10th, we have Nidoking, Lapras, Dragonite, Bulbasaur, Arcanine, Snorlax, Mega Beedrill, wow, Charizard in third, Eevee in second, and our number 1 for Generation 1 is Gengar. Awesome choice. For me, I would pick Charmeleon here, but I'd rather have a Pokemon that you can actually use on a team. I'm not willing to stick it with the Eviolite or anything, it's getting evolved. So all roads lead to Articuno. Gen 2 starts off pretty light with Totodile in 10th, into Pichu at 9th. Then we have Ampharos, Heracross, Azumarill, Crobat, Tyranitar, Quagsire in 3rd, Umbreon in 2nd, and by a landslide, Scizor takes 1st place. That's a pretty crazy margin considering the entire generation is on the table. There are some great Gen 2 Pokemon out there, but it's Houndoom. Gen 3 leads off with Spheal, more cute water stuff. Then in 9th place we have Mawile, then Sceptile, Mudkip, Absol, Aggron, Metagross, Flygon in top 3, 2nd place Breloom, and 1st, Gardevoir. What else was it gonna be? First ever starter takes it, who's surprised? In 10th place for Generation 4 we have Porygon Z, building up to Infernape, Giratina, Weavile, Glaceon, Frostlass, Torterra, Gliscor in 3rd, Garchomp in 2nd, because in 1st, of course, it's Lucario. And I am going with Dusknoir. In Gen 5, 10th place goes to Excadrill, who knocked out Zoroark by 1 vote, a Pokemon that I was sure was a lock. It also lost to Lilligant at 9th, then Galvantula, Golurk, Hydreigon, Scolipede, Volcarona, Meloetta in 3rd, Crocodile in 2nd, and our winner is Chandelure by the largest margin so far, despite the fact that this is the single largest generation of Pokemon, even beating out the original. I cannot get over just how popular Chandelure's turned out to be. Like I said, this isn't a generation that I'm incredibly invested in, but I do really like Jellicent's design. I've never actually managed to use it on a team, but someday I'm sure I will. Kicking off Gen 6, we have Zygarde, then Trevenant, Delphox, Yveltal, Tyrantrum, Hawlucha, Noivern. 3rd goes to Aegislash, 2nd to Sylveon, and in 1st place, say it with me, it's exactly who you think. Yveltal also notably got almost 5 times the vote of Xerneas, whereas heading in, I actually thought Xerneas was more popular. And I really love Noivern, but because this is the Mega generation, let's give it to a Mega. It's definitely down to these two. Mawile, I think, is the overall strongest design, but Mega Bandit is the coolest. Plus, I just like Ghost the best of any other typings. And it allows me to sneak both of them into a top ranking. If you guys don't need to be consistent with Primarina, who says I need to be consistent here? Our top 10 for Alola, appropriately enough, starts off with Alolan Raichu, and then we have Serena, Rowlet, Golisopod, Araquanid, Alolan Ninetales, Primarina, then Decidueye, then Incineroar, that's a cool grouping, and on top of them all, we have Mimikyu. And I love Decidueye, but I love Ice more. We actually need 11 slots for Gen 8 because the first 3 are a tie between Hisuian Zorua, Hisuian Samurott, and Hatterene. Cool to see both regions in there. Then in 8th place we have Dracovish. In 7th, Toxtricity. Toxtricity amped alone would still go here. Then moving on to Cinderace for 6th, Hisuian Typhlosion, Corviknight, Dragapult at 3rd, Phalanx at 2nd. This is another one that wasn't really on my radar heading in. And in 1st place, Hisuian Zoroark. It's gotta be Toxtricity though. And it's a similar deal for Gen 9. This time around, we actually need 12 slots to accommodate Slitherwing, Palafin, and Fuecoco. In 9th place, we have Lokix, just barely beaten out by Annihilate, then Ogerpon, Skeledirge, Meowscarada above it, boo, Iron Valiant, Ceruledge in 3rd, Clodsire in 2nd, and the final winner of the final generation is Tinkaton. Another pretty strong generation when you put everything together here. I think I do need to give this one to Skeledirge, though. Only 1 slot remaining, the single most popular Pokemon ever as chosen by you. Now, the smart money is probably on, say, Lucario, but I'm not sure if overall very widespread appeal necessarily wins it for you in this kind of category. Let's see. Oh, well, this is interesting. This is not what I was expecting, and it's tricky because there's a lot of ties. Here's what I'm gonna do. In 3rd place, we have a tie between Volcarona, Scolipede, Sceptile, Alolan Ninetales, Mudkip, Metagross, Garchomp, Frostlass, and Absol. In 2nd place, we have Quagsire tied with Meloetta, Infernape, Greninja, Golurk, Decidueye, and Chandelure. And in 1st place, keep in mind, beating 2nd place by 1 vote, we have a 3-way tie between Sylveon, yes, Lucario, I guess that does work, and Iron Valiant. I love Iron Valiant, but I would not have imagined it up there. If anything, it tells me Game Freak really needs to get on an official version of that Pokemon Fusions concept. And my favorite Pokemon of all time, I know some of you already know this, it's Houndoom. I've absolutely loved it ever since I had to sit through watching my friends playing with it in Gold and Silver. So in Sapphire, when I finally had the chance to play with one myself, it was an incredibly empowering experience. Just wish it could have happened in a game besides the too much water one. But hey, them's the breaks. And yeah, in editing, there's absolutely no way I can fit this all into one graphic, so take me scrolling through Notepad++. Keep in mind, these are only the Pokemon that actually got votes. And that was the entire Pokemon spreadsheet. Now, there is this other section down at the bottom here, and people were really inconsistent about filling it out. And the thing is, even if I thought the data was good, well, the software ended up being, you know, a little janky looking, but very functional. Trying to get it to work with all the different weird croppings people were sending in just turned out to be such a nightmare. But it got me the data now, so what I can speed run through is the best performing Pokemon in each of these categories, or really any category I want. For example, I said I would talk about the new Megas. There's obviously no ZA Mega Evolutions category for people to vote on here, but we can gather all the new Mega Evolutions up and check out how they did, giving each of them a score based on their placements, which of course do take into account the amount of opportunities people had to vote for them. Some Pokemon inherently just show up more often, particularly dual typings, as well as the amount of competition they faced each time. And when we do that, we find that the best performing ZA Mega Evolution is Mega Delphox. No complaints here, it may be my favorite new one too. The worst performing ZA Mega Evolution, for the record, was Mega Victreebel. I got ripped to shreds earlier when I posted about how lame that thing was. Where are all of you now? The worst part is that it still ended up on my team. We can do whatever we want with this. Togepi's the most successful Pokemon based on an egg. Aipom is the prime monkey, not primate, mind you, that goes to Annihilate, don't get them confused. So let's apply all of that quickly to the categories Cage and Adventure setup. Regional birds did pretty terribly, but when you did choose them, you went with Wattrel. I'm going Hoot Hoot. For regional mammals, you all chose OG Zigzagoon, and I'm going Galarian Zigzagoon. For regional bugs, it was Spinarak. I like Spinarak, but I like Tarantula more. For pseudo-legendaries, you ended up going Dragonite, and I'm doing Dragapult. For the Pikachu clones, I thankfully don't have to deal with any of this nonsense because you all went Mimikyu. Also, should these really be in the Pikachu clone category? Okay, well, I'm going Alola and Raichu then, it's on the list. While Sylveon may have gotten more full-on favorite votes, Umbreon was still the best performing overall evolution. Sounds good to me. Auroras did the best among the fossils. Can't really say I saw that one coming. Tyrantrum, of course, sick. Among all the regional forms, you chose Alola and Ninetales. Yeah, I just like Aurora Veil too much. The Gigantamaxes, well, that was easily Garbodor. Keep in mind, it's the only one that did anything in any category. And if I'm forced to pick one, I guess Gengar. I don't know. Can you tell I don't like Gigantamax? The babies are another category that consistently did terribly, but Togepi's actually the narrow winner here. As for me, I'm going Munchlax. Box legendaries are a big one. You guys went Giratina Origin, or more accurately, you went Giratina in general. If you do want to count Giratina Origin as its own thing, which hasn't been my philosophy for the general list, but I do think makes more sense here, then the alternative winner would be Rayquaza. Oh look, it's Kyogre again. Among all the mythical Pokemon, I really expected Mew, but it just lost out to Darkrai. Arms. Among the Ultra Beasts, the winner was Nihilego. I'm definitely going Naganadel on that one. Among the Paradox Pokemon, it was Slitherwing, although I feel like these guys still didn't get a fair shake. I know Koraidon and Miraidon are technically Paradox Pokemon, they're Paradox forms of Cyclizar, but when people say Paradox Pokemon, I don't think that's really what they mean, so I'm going Fluttermane. Favorite typing. Now look, I could go back to every single one of the 1,000+ Pokemon I cataloged, and then also their sub-variants, and hand tag every single one's typing to it, but I hope you'll understand I'm Pokemon'd out. This video was supposed to be short. Pokemon scale spirals completely out of control. So if you're itching to see a fully filled out list, you're just gonna have to settle for my choice, which is, of course, Poison. Favorite Pokeball? Well, there was never any interpolating that. I really like the Moonball. That's saved for special occasions. Favorite Spinda is that one, sure. Favorite Vivian is purple? I did not track Vivian colors. Favorite Alcremie? I like mint chocolate chip, I guess. Again, I didn't track this. And finally, favorite new evolution. There are some huge hitters here, but Scizor consistently kicked ass essentially every time it showed up. And I'm going Porygon too. Sorry, Clodsire. As for team, I don't really know what this is supposed to mean. Have my squad from ZA. And with that, we've officially reached the end of Cage and Avenger's favorite Pokemon picker. There is one more thing to do though. The last question to ask here is, of all the lists you sent in, which one stayed closest to our baseline consensus and which one strayed furthest from it? Well, you know what? That's easy enough to find out. We can just take every Pokemon in a cell, give it points based on its popularity, weight things appropriately, and see who has the highest and lowest scores. Presumably everyone who submitted this was fine with having their entire sheet judged, but just in case, I'll leave names out of this. Feel free to shut yourself out if you're still watching at this point. But if this here is your sheet, then congratulations, you got the highest score and have your finger most on the pulse of what people like. You hit essentially all the big targets in categories like Togekiss for Gen 4 Fairy, Crobat for Gen 2 Poison, and Gardevoir for Gen 3 Fairy, and your least popular pick, Lycanroc as the Gen 7 favorite, was still shared by other people. And if this is your spreadsheet here, then you're the exact opposite. You officially have the least conventional taste of over 1,000 applicants. You still had some pretty popular picks. Heracross for Gen 2 Fighting, Greninja as your Gen 6 starter, but you also went with a ton of extremely unpopular categories, like Geodude for Gen 1 Ground, Bagon for Gen 3 Dragon, and Scorbunny for your favorite Gen 8. In fact, you just picked a ton of unevolved Pokemon in general. And I was not part of the database, but like I said, fair is fair. If I drop my sheet in after the fact, then we can see my score is in the top 51%. Absolutely drop dead in the middle of my audience. That makes a certain amount of sense, doesn't it? A few of my lowest scores include Jellicent for Gen 5 favorite, Mega Bannet for Gen 6 favorite, and of course, Charmeleon for Gen 1 Fire. You people just do not get it. And I think that's gonna do it for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. Yeah, this video spiraled completely out of control. It was not supposed to be this big, so appreciate you sticking around to the end. Also really appreciate all the submissions. I was never actually sure if this video was gonna work. Like, comment, check out the Patreon. I'm out of time. Later, people.